Rapid True Value is
nationwide time 5 o'clock.
Crisp and refreshing. Room temperature or chilled. A pure water would drink. The temperature by Pure Water is
33 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 30 out west in Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Robian Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, long-awaited Integrity Commission report on Prime Minister Holness's statutory declarations tabled in Parliament.
The Integrity Commission's investigation report into the statutory declarations by the Most Honourable Mr. Andrew Holness in respect of concerns that he owns assets disproportionate to his lawful earnings.
Prime Minister Holness is rejecting key findings of the Integrity Commission.
I reject this finding based on materiality and significance. Just a cursory review of their formula. I have seen an error in figures they have used in their calculation.
And Holness says the Integrity Commission Act needs urgent review.
U.S. President Joe Biden names Jamaica among 23 major drug transit countries.
Education Minister reveals students did better at Grade 5 PEP exams when compared to their Grade 4 results.
In news from the rest of the world, Cuba slashes size of daily bread ration as food shortage worsens.
Hezbollah vows to retaliate against Israel for pager explosions.
In headline sports, pre-season favorites Glenmore High registers fourth straight victory in ISA Digital Da Costa Cup football today.
And later in our broadcast, in the cover story at 5:35, no charge and nothing to substantiate allegations of illicit enrichment against Prime Minister Andrew Holness. The Integrity Commission's special investigation report was tabled in Parliament this afternoon. The Prime Minister has defended his name and reputation.
It is alleged that I had omitted bank accounts from my declaration, and one of these accounts was incorrectly reported as a US dollar balance by a financial institution.
We'll take you through sections of the explosive report.
In Public Opinion at 6:26, we ask, what can be done to reduce bullying in schools? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90FM.
And the nation's business at 6:40 will continue to review the Integrity Commission's report.
From 7 to 8, it's Nature's Remedies with Dr. Denise Daly. Tonight we'll be discussing castor bean and the Jamaican dogwood plant.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90FM, Nationwide Radio JM.com, and on the Nationwide app. Available on the Google Play and the App Store. This Tuesday afternoon, it's Tuesday, September 17, 2024. And now to the details. Director of Corruption Prosecution at the Integrity Commission, Keisha Prince-Kamika, has ruled that Prime Minister Andrew Holness should face no charge regarding his uncertified statutory declarations. However, the Commission's Director of Investigations, Kevon Stevenson, has raised concerns about Holness's declarations, suggesting he has fallen short of what Stevenson calls the higher duty to the public expected of someone in his esteemed role. The Commission's report, which was tabled in the House of Representatives on Tuesday, affirms Nationwide News' earlier reporting on the matter. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
After an exhaustive 3-year investigation that concluded just weeks ago, Director of Corruption Prosecution, Keisha Prince-Kamika, announced that Mr. Holness has no legal case to answer concerning his statutory declarations. Previously, Nationwide News revealed that the Director of Investigations, Kevon Stevenson, had recommended that serious consideration be given to pressing charges against the Prime Minister relating to 4 accounts linked to his father, mother, and a former constituency office manager. The total across these accounts amount to $384,000 Jamaican dollars. However, Mrs. Prince-Kamika says establishing an intentional omission in Mr. Holness's statutory declarations would pose a significant challenge. This is in contrast to her colleague, Mr. Stevenson, who insists that as Prime Minister and head of the government, Holness bears a heightened responsibility to uphold Jamaica's laws and thus cannot escape scrutiny. Stevenson argues that a leader in public service must exemplify the virtues of selflessness, integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness, honesty, and leadership. He emphasized that while he does not question Mr. Holness's commitment to these principles, several findings from his report contradict the virtues. Another concern raised was whether Mr. Holness's 2021 statutory declaration suggests he possesses assets exceeding what his lawful earnings would allow. Mr. Stevenson is concerned by an unexplained increase of over 1.9 million Jamaican dollars in Mr. Holness's net worth for the year 2022. Despite these indicators, Mr. Stevenson admits he cannot definitively conclude that the Prime Minister has unlawfully enriched himself, maintaining consistency with previous reporting by Nationwide News. The Commission's Director of Corruption Prosecution also concurred that no charges would be laid against Holness on this front. However, another contentious issue has emerged surrounding the Prime Minister's investment in a bond. The Prime Minister's legal team asserts that due to a bank error, $30,000 from his Positive Jamaica Foundation was wrongly allocated to a $60,000 bond purchase. Yet, the Director of Investigations found this assertion misleading and lacking in supporting evidence. Stevenson also called into question the operations of companies linked to Mr. Holness. These are Imperium, Estate Bridge, Positive Media, and Green Merald. His suggestion is that their activity may breach Section 99 of the Income Tax Act, potentially undermining tax laws and depriving the government of a proper assessment of taxes owed for the years 2021 and 2022. Calling for an in-depth inquiry, Stevenson is urging the Financial Investigations Division to delve deeper into these matters. The call was echoed by the Integrity Commissioners, who contend that true resolution is impossible until the FID conducts its investigations. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness has rejected a conclusion by the Integrity Commission that there was unexplained growth in his net worth for the year 2022. The Prime Minister made the assertion on Tuesday as he addressed the long-awaited special report from the Integrity Watchdog into his statutory declarations. Holness says the claim that there was an increase of $1.9 million, or less than 1% of his total net assets, cannot be supported as a material fact. The Prime Minister also rejects the conclusion on the basis of significance. Ricardo Brooks has the Prime Minister's response.
The Prime Minister says after an extensive investigation into his affairs, the Integrity Commission was unable to find any wrongdoing.
Over 3,600 transactions were examined, 28 bank accounts, over 80 witness statements collected. This effort to pursue me and my affairs led to the hiring of an international forensic accounting examiner for 6 months. As far as I am aware, only my 2021 declaration was submitted for investigation. After this most thorough interrogation of my personal affairs, which is not in any way connected to public funds or a benefit resulting from my office, they were unable to conclude regarding illicit enrichment. Nonetheless, they concluded that in one of the 5 years they examined, 2022, there was unexplained growth in my net worth.
That growth was $1.9 million, or less than 1% of the Prime Minister's total net assets. Holness says in coming to that conclusion, the Integrity Commission relied on incorrect data.
I reject this finding based on materiality and significance, and while I have not had a chance to fully review the specifics of their calculations, just a cursory review of their formula, I have seen an error in figures they have used in their calculation. And therefore, I challenge this finding on incorrect use of data.
Andrew Holness has other issues with the findings of the Seymour Panton-chaired commission. He has rejected the finding that he acquired an asset for which the source of funding was not explained. The Prime Minister told Parliament the entire matter started because of an incorrect statement from a bank. Holness says the matter has since been rectified. But the Prime Minister questions the Integrity Commission's conclusions. He specifically rejects allegations that he hindered the examinations of his declarations by failing to provide requested information.
Let it be known that I have complied with any obligation placed on me within the law. As far as I am aware, the company with which I am directly associated is compliant and up to date with its filing.
In his first reaction to the investigation that has dogged his administration and threatened his political career, the Prime Minister says he has remained committed to his job despite attempts to distract him. Holness launched an impassioned defense of his conduct in public office. He says he has always worked hard for all he has achieved.
I don't wear my background as a badge or try to exploit it or exploit my humble beginnings for political sympathy. I don't do it. I don't do it because I believe in working for what you have, regardless of where you come from. And Mr. Speaker, I have worked hard. People just see the achievements. They don't know the hours, the nights, the hard work.
The Prime Minister says he will continue to rely on God for strength.
Mr. Speaker, I will take legal advice on this report and its recommendations, including recommendations for referral to other entities. And Mr. Speaker, I will continue to pray to God for guidance and strength as I continue to lead Jamaica.
Ricardo Brooks for Nationwide News.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister says the context in which the Integrity Commission Act is operating has weakened its credibility.
While I will not pursue the view that this was politicized, I believe it is commonly agreed that the law governing the Integrity Commission is in urgent need of revision. The current context of its operations does weaken its credibility, and we must do everything to ensure that the appropriate laws are in place to prevent the politicization of the Commission and to support the Commission in its work.
The Prime Minister says the way the entire matter related to his statutory declarations has been dealt with raises serious concerns.
The weaponization of accusations of corruption is nothing new in politics. However, even the most skeptical onlooker must conclude that the handling of this matter, time it has taken, public resources used to pursue it, raise cause for concern on many levels.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness was addressing the House of Representatives on Tuesday afternoon.
Still in the House of Representatives, the opposition leader Mark Golding was deterred from commenting on Mr. Holness's personal statement this afternoon. Mr. Golding was interrupted after the House Speaker reminded him that the Parliament's standing orders do not allow for members to debate a personal statement.
The Prime Minister's given a personal statement in accordance with the permission which you granted. Is it your understanding that anything can be said today in response thereto? Is that your understanding of the rule? I'm asking for your ruling on the matter.
That is my understanding of Section 18 of the Standing Order.
Very well. More or none. This report, the substantial report has just been tabled.
You cannot debate.
The public will have an opportunity to review it and discuss it.
Member, you cannot debate.
Heroy Clark, the Deputy House Speaker there, and before him the opposition leader Mark Golding. Parliament was adjourned shortly after.
Students who sat the primary exit profile PEP examinations in grade 5 this year performed significantly better than they did in the grade 4 exam. That's according to Education Minister Favour Williams.
Today, we released the PEP 5 results to regions and to their schools. I'm happy to report that those children who took PEP 4 last year have done noticeably better at PEP 5. In language arts, approximately 68% of students achieved proficiency or higher, a substantial increase from 48% who sat PEP in 2023. And in mathematics, 47% of students achieved proficiency or higher, a notable rise from the 25% proficiency rate in 2023 for those who sat PEP 4.
PEP is administered over 3 years starting in grade 4. The result for each year is averaged for a composite score at the end of grade 6. Concern has resurfaced in recent times about the complexity of the exam and the toll it takes on students. However, Minister Williams says the 3-year assessment has been successful in strengthening the overall performance of children.
It is a strong signal that we will see even better results for PEP 6 in 2025. That was the purpose of having the PEP exams over 3 years, so that we begin to develop a profile for each student and can use the time between assessments to work with students and strengthen their understanding of fundamental skills. Mr. Speaker, that strategy is bearing fruit.
Favour Williams, Minister of Education. The minister was speaking during Tuesday's sitting in the House of Representatives.
You're listening to the news on Nationwide at 5. We'll have more after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is...
It's 15 minutes after 5.
Rent-to-Kill Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rent-to-Kill Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rent-to-Kill is
32 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 30 out west in Montego Bay.
Yes, Kemlani Mart is making deals.
Really? Deals like what?
On scratch, dented, new furniture and appliances.
Oh, that's great.
And that's not all. Kemlani Mart has tiles, toilets, doors at crazy low prices.
So I can make a deal on a sofa set?
Of course, and dining room sets, outdoor furniture, ACs and more. No reasonable offer will be refused.
Only at Kemlani Mart, Manor Center and 77 King Street.
I love this place, you see.
The future of manufacturing is now. Join the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, JMEA, in association with VM Group for an unforgettable evening on September 28, 2024 at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. They're celebrating the industry's brightest minds and the groundbreaking achievements shaping Jamaica's future. Request your tickets at bit.ly/2024 awards tickets or email awards@jmea.org to learn more. Let's witness the future. September 28 at 6:30 p.m., the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel.
Continuing the news. The U.S. President Joe Biden says Jamaica is among 23 major drug transit or major illicit drug producing countries for the 2024-2025 fiscal year. Jamaica is one of 4 CARICOM countries named. Mahiri Stewart reports.
In a memorandum from the Secretary of State dated September 15, 2024, President Biden identified the following countries as major drug transit or major illicit drug producing countries. The countries are Afghanistan, the Bahamas, Belize, Bolivia, Burma, the People's Republic of China, Colombia, Costa Rica, the Dominican Republic, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Haiti, Honduras, India, Laos, Mexico, Nicaragua, Pakistan, Panama, Peru, Venezuela, and Jamaica. The President's memorandum specified that a country's presence on the list is not necessarily a reflection of its government's counter-drug efforts or level of cooperation with the United States. Biden says countries are placed on the list based on a combination of geographic, commercial, and economic factors that allow drugs or precursor chemicals to be transited or produced. This is so even if a government has engaged in robust and diligent narcotics control and law enforcement measures. Biden designated Bolivia, Burma, and Venezuela as having failed demonstrably during the previous 12 months to adhere to their obligations under international counter-narcotics agreements. The U.S. President cited provisional data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, which indicate there were an estimated 107,543 drug overdose deaths in the United States during 2023. This represents a decrease of 3% from 2022. The memorandum also covers Biden's concern with the cultivation of cocaine in South America. He says cocaine production reaching record highs in the continent necessitate urgent action by countries in the region. Biden says Colombia continues to work closely with the United States to reduce cocaine production, conduct drug smuggling interdiction operations, and dismantle the criminal organizations involved in cocaine trafficking. He says that through the United States assistance, the Colombian National Police seized more than 841 metric tons of pure cocaine and cocaine base in 2023. This represents a 10% increase from the previous year. Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute. Cuba's communist-run government has slashed the weight of its subsidized ration of bread by a quarter as the food shortage worsens on the island. Bread, which is one of a handful of subsidized basic food products, will be reduced from 80 to 60 grams. Last week, Cuba said its stash of wheat flour needed to produce bread had declined. It's the latest shortage to strain a decades-old subsidies scheme created by the late Fidel Castro. The island is suffering from extreme shortages of food, fuel, and medicine. The Cuban government has blamed it on the long-running U.S. trade embargo.
The Islamist militant group Hezbollah has promised to retaliate against Israel, which it accuses of detonating pages across Lebanon on Tuesday. At least 9 people were killed when pages used by hundreds of members of Hezbollah exploded in Lebanon and Syria. It's reported that the devices may have been packed with up to 20 grams of military-grade explosives. 200 of those injured are said to be in critical condition. Iraq's prime minister has ordered the deployment of medical and emergency service teams to assist those affected in Lebanon.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour. Explosive Integrity Commission report on Prime Minister Holness's statutory declarations tabled in Parliament.
Prime Minister Holness is rejecting key findings of the Integrity Commission.
And Mr. Holness says the Integrity Commission Act needs urgent review.
U.S. President Joe Biden names Jamaica among 23 major drug transit countries.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And I'm Roby Ann Williams.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app. Available on the Google Play and the App Store. News next, the headlines at 6.
News at 5 was brought to you by the new Crunchy Box from KFC. A piece of delicious chicken, 2 hot wings, biscuit, and a Pepsi for just $850. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
You want to play all your favorite Supreme Ventures games like Cashpot and Lotto in a one place? Plus bet on sports with Just Bet and horse racing with MBet? Come take a step in at the new SV Games app. All of the games you love in a one place. Step in and play all your numbers. Bet on all your sports and get enough chances to win in the only gaming app you need. SV Games from Supreme Ventures. Visit supremegames.com to download the SV Games app. More ways to bet, more ways to win at your fingertips. Must be 18 years or older to play.
Energize your life the right way with DBJ. Yeah, you must can save enough energy solution. Choose one today for your house or your business. Money I go save. Yeah, DBJ. Energize your life the right way. The Development Bank of Jamaica Limited is here to help you with the purchase and installation of renewable energy systems to help you save on your energy bill. Contact your business banker or bank today. Energize your business or home the right way with DBJ Energy Loan.
You good, Mark? No. From what day me have these terrible heartburns. I don't know why. What kind of food you eating? To tell you the truth, I mostly eat fast food. I live alone and I'm too busy for cook my youth. That's your problem. You're eating too much processed food and building up trans fat. Trans fat? What that? Trans fat is a type of fat in a processed foods like fried chicken, fries, donuts, and them things there. So how that cause heartburn? So eating trans fat can cause acid reflux. So if you don't stop eat it or cut back on the amount you eat, things can get worse. Like what? You can get heart attacks, stroke, type 2 diabetes, or even die. But fats and oils no important for eat, my youth. Yes, but the healthy kind in a vegetable aisle, nuts and fish. Okay, no, me gonna switch up my diet starting today. Just remember to balance it out with your fresh fruits, vegetables, and ground provision.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Issa Digicel Manning Cup champions Mona High are on course for a third victory in this season's competition. At sports time, they lead Tarrant High School by 8-1. In other latest scores, Jonathan Grant, they lead Waterford 2-0. Kingston College are holding a 1-0 lead over Jose Marti, while St. George's College, they were holding a massive 5-0 lead over Norman Manley. In the Water Costa Cup, last season's beaten finalist Glen Muir, they were leading Winston Jones by 14-0. Froome held a 3-0 advantage over Naculver and Trovey. They lead Cambridge by 1-0 at sports time. Green Island, they are ahead of Rossies 2-1. Little London trail Mannings High School by 3-0. Monroe, they lead Newell by 4-0. BB Cook are leading Stets 1-0. And Cedric Titus, they are leading at Mushet High School by 1-0. 10-man Marcus Garvey, they are holding a 2-1 lead over Ferncourt. Herbert Morrison, they trail Malden by 1-0. And Cornwall College, they lead Irwin by 1-0. We should have full results in these games in our major sportscast at 6:05 this evening. National champions of Jamaica Cavalier will look to maintain their place atop the standings in Group A of the Caribbean Football Union Club Championship when they face Real Hope of Haiti tonight at the National Stadium. It's set to kick off at 7. The Rudolph Speed Conditioned Unit have won their 2 games so far this campaign, and a third victory would extend their advantage atop the group. Real Hope have only 1 point from their only game so far, a 1-1 draw with Police of Trinidad and Tobago, and they're currently third in the group. A win would see them leapfrog Mount Pleasant Academy into second. Champions Real Madrid started the defense of their European Champions League title on a winning note today. They beat VfB Stuttgart of Germany 3-1 at the Santiago de Bernabeu. Kylian Mbappe, with his 49th Champions League goal, sent them on their way before Anthony Rudiger and 18-year-old Brazilian star Endrick added further goals to complete the win.
Look at this, Shirley Dawes, they're in behind, and Mbappe's waiting in the middle. If he can square it to him, he did! And he scored! A special moment for a special player. Kylian Mbappe's first Champions League goal in the famous white of Real Madrid. Modric then to take the corner, 8 to go. Will we get a winner here? It's a good delivery there, and they're in front. What a good header. So simple, wasn't it? Rudiger was up there, and he scores against the club where he began his senior career. And now the counter's on. Hendrick, he's got Vinicius Junior to his right and Mbappe to his left. Had to go himself! That'll do it! On his Champions League debut, Hendrick has got the third for Real Madrid, who win on the opening night.
Meanwhile, Harry Kane scored 4 times to steer the former winners Bayern Munich to an impressive 9-2 win over Dinamo Zagreb at the Allianz in Munich. Liverpool came from behind to beat AC Milan 3-1 at the San Siro with Ibrahim Konote, Dominic Slaposai and Virgil van Dijk on the score sheet. Elsewhere, Aston Villa, they were comfortable 3-0 winners over Young Boys. Juventus topped PSV Eindhoven 3-1, and Sporting Club defeated Lille of France by 2-0. The winners of the 2024 Women's T20 World Cup that begins on October 3 in the UAE will receive US $2.34 million in prize money, an increase of 134% over the $1 million that Australia were awarded for winning the tournament in 2023. The overall prize pot of US $7.95 million is also 225% more than the $2.5 million on offer in 2023. The upcoming event is the first in which which the ICC will award women equal prize money as men for their respective events, a decision that was taken in June last year. The winners of the 2024 Men's T20 World Cup India were awarded US $2.45 million earlier this year. The difference between that amount and what the women champions will take home is down to the difference in the number of matches played by teams during the two events. With the men T20, they were playing 20 teams. The women will only have 10. The runners-up in the 2024 Women's World Cup will take home US $1.17 million in comparison to the US $500,000 awarded to the losing finalist South Africa last year. And finally in sports, the Caribbean Premier League CPL continues this evening with leaders the Barbados Royals facing the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots at Kensington Oval in Bridgetown, and it's set to bowl off at 6 o'clock Jamaica time. The Royals have only lost once this season, and they'll virtually book a spot in the playoff with victory tonight. The St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots must win if they are to entertain any hopes of a playoff spot, having lost 6 of their 7 games played so far this tournament. That's sports. We're going to be back with more at 6:05.
Since 2016, 156,000 more Jamaicans are working. This is more than any other time in our history. Your government is caring for you.
The time brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:30.
When I grow up, I'm going to be a famous gamer with viral videos all over the internet. I'm going to be rich. Good thing I'll already know how to take care of my money since Mommy got me this Sure Start account.
Open a CIBC Caribbean Sure Start account for your kids and give them a head start on financial smarts with a $1,200 sign-up bonus from us. We believe in their dreams as much as you do, so let's get them going together. Start young, start strong with Sure Start from CIBC.
Does your bra ride up your back? Do your shoulders hurt from carrying the weight of your breasts? These are signs of an ill-fitting bra. When was the last time you were fitted by a bra fit specialist? The bra experts at La Belle Femme will take care of you. Drop into the store at 53 Lady Musgrave Road, Tuesdays to Saturdays from 10 to 5, and you will see the difference. Or call 876-622-6091.
Motorists, as Minister of Justice, I appeal to you, obey the road code, pay your ticket on time, and only go to court if the ticket is being contested. Close to 80% of matters coming to the parish courts are for traffic breaches. Let's work together to make our roads safe and ease the burden on our courts.
The usual story is told. Mothers wash the clothes. The bloody element is a secret. The wrongs are always denied. The girlfriends and mothers of their children defend their honor and double down to deflect their deeds. Even some who sit in church regularly keep praying for their sons and nephews to change their wicked ways while accepting the spoils of their crimes and murderous ways. It is an uncomfortable reality, but should we avoid talking about it? Join me, Rodney Campbell, every Tuesday from 9 to 10:30 p.m. for Affairs of the Heart, right here on Nationwide 90 FM. This Tuesday's topic, the role women play in creating and covering criminals.
Appear juvenile, run downtown, run downtown, run downtown.
Affairs of the Heart is brought to you by Supermed Pharmacy. Super happy, super healthy, Supermed.
7 months on from one of the closest local government elections in the country's history, how does the voting public view Andrew Holness, Mark Golding, JLP, or PNP? We send the data scientists from Blue Dot Insights into the field to canvass the views of the public, and the results are in! Tune into Nationwide 90 FM and all our social media platforms from Monday, September 23 to Friday, September 27, as we reveal how the voting public feels about the Prime Minister and Opposition Leader, plus the parties they lead. This is the best advertising opportunity anywhere on radio over this period, so do contact our sales department at 876-630-1210. It's the Nationwide Blue Dot Polls.
I would side a lead.
On Thursday, September 19, 2024, tune in to Cliff Hughes Online from 10 a.m. to 12 noon as we live stream a panel discussion on generative AI, impact on misinformation and disinformation, hosted by the Broadcasting Commission of Jamaica in partnership with UNESCO Cluster Office for the Caribbean and the Jamaica National Commission for UNESCO. This event is being held within the framework of the 5th Global Annual Artificial Intelligence for Information Accessibility AI for IA Conference and seeks to raise awareness about the importance of inclusive access, ethical usage and governance of new and emerging AI systems. It will feature a keynote by Christopher Charles, Professor of Political and Social Psychology in the Department of Government UWI Mona, the launch of the Caribbean AI Roadmap, and a lively panel discussion. Thursday, September 19, Cliff Views Online from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. The discussion is Generative AI, Impact on Misinformation and Disinformation. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Broadcasting Commission of Jamaica.
Cover Story is brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
Drive Hyundai. Hyundai vehicles beyond your dreams with an exclusive 4.99% interest rate. Yes! Shop Hyundai vehicles and get a super low 4.99% interest rate on your car loan. Plus 2 years free service, 1 year insurance, and 5 years warranty. Offer valid on all 2024 Hyundai vehicles. Drive your Hyundai with the lowest interest, 4.99%. Conditions apply.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us here nationwide at 5. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell. And I'm Ricardo Brooks.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
And we're all focused on what took place in the Parliament this afternoon with the tabling of that special investigation report from the Integrity Commission. And we're going to recap for you, our listeners or viewers, exactly, yes, what is contained in the report, in particular, the conclusions and findings. But we begin with the first of 3 reports. Yes? Let me tell you, the first, Director of Corruption Prosecution, Keisha Prince Kamika, has ruled that the Prime Minister should face no charge regarding his uncertified statutory declarations. However, the Commission's Director of Investigations, Kevon Stevenson, is raising concerns about Holness's declarations, suggesting that the Prime Minister has fallen short of what Stevenson calls, quote, the higher duty to the public expected of someone in his esteemed role.
The Commission's report, which was tabled in the House of Representatives on Tuesday, affirms Nationwide News' earlier reporting on the matter.
Siobhan Campbell reports.
After an exhaustive 3-year investigation that concluded just weeks ago, Director of Corruption Prosecution, Keisha Prince Kamika, announced that Mr. Holness has no legal case to answer concerning his statutory declarations. Previously, Nationwide News revealed that the Director of Investigations, Kevon Stevenson, had recommended that serious consideration be given to pressing charges against the Prime Minister relating to 4 accounts linked to his father, mother, and a former constituency office manager. The total across these accounts amount to $384,000 Jamaican dollars. However, Mrs. Prince Kamika says establishing an intentional omission in Mr. Holness's statutory declarations would pose a significant challenge. This is in contrast to her colleague, Mr. Stevenson, who insists that as Prime Minister and head of the government, Holness bears a heightened responsibility to uphold Jamaica's laws and thus cannot escape scrutiny. Stevenson argues that a leader in public service must exemplify the virtues of selflessness, integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness, honesty, and leadership. He emphasized that while he does not question Mr. Holness's commitment to these principles, several findings from his report contradict the virtues. Another concern raised was whether Mr. Holness's 2021 statutory declarations suggest he possesses assets exceeding what his lawful earnings would allow. Mr. Stevenson is concerned by an unexplained increase of over 1.9 million Jamaican dollars in Mr. Holness's net worth for the year 2022. Despite these indicators, Mr. Stevenson admits he cannot definitively conclude that the Prime Minister has unlawfully enriched himself, maintaining consistency with previous reporting by Nationwide News. The Commission's Director of Corruption Prosecution also concurred that no charges would be laid against Holness on this front. However, another contentious issue has emerged surrounding the Prime Minister's investment in a bond. The Prime Minister's legal team asserts that due to a bank error, $30,000 from his Positive Jamaica Foundation was wrongly allocated to a $60,000 bond purchase. Yet, the Director of Investigations found this assertion misleading and lacking in supporting evidence. Stevenson also called into question the operations of companies linked to Mr. Holness. These are Imperium, Estate Bridge, Positive Media, and Green Merald. His suggestion is that their activity may breach Section 99 of the Income Tax Act, potentially undermining tax laws and depriving the government of a proper assessment of taxes owed for the years 2021 and 2022. Calling for an in-depth inquiry, Stevenson is urging the Financial Investigations Division to delve deeper into these matters. The call was echoed by the Integrity Commissioners, who contend that true resolution is impossible until the FID conducts its investigations. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Thank you, Siobhan. And in a reaction through a personal statement in the House this afternoon, the Prime Minister rejected a conclusion of the Integrity Commission that there was unexplained growth in his net worth for the year 2022. The Prime Minister made the assertion as he addressed the long-awaited special report tabled in the House this afternoon. He said the claim that there was an increase of $1.9 million, or less than 1% of his total net assets, cannot be supported as a material fact. The Prime Minister also rejected the conclusion on the basis of lack of significance. Ricardo Brooks has that story.
The Prime Minister says after an extensive investigation into his affairs, the Integrity Commission was unable to find any wrongdoing.
Over 3,600 transactions were examined, 28 bank accounts, over 80 witness statements collected. This effort to pursue me and my affairs led to the hiring of an international forensic accounting examiner for 6 months. As far as I am aware, only my 2021 declaration was submitted for investigation. After this most thorough interrogation of my personal affairs, which is not in any way connected to public funds or a benefit resulting from my office, they were unable to conclude regarding illicit enrichment. Nonetheless, they concluded that in one of the 5 years they examined, 2022, there was unexplained growth in my net worth.
That growth was $1.9 million, or less than 1% of the Prime Minister's total net assets. Holness says in coming to that conclusion, the Integrity Commission relied on incorrect data.
I reject this finding based on materiality and significance. And while I have not had a chance to fully review the specifics of their calculations, just a cursory review of their formula, I have seen an error in figures they have used in their calculation. And therefore, I challenge this finding on incorrect use of data.
Andrew Holness has other issues with the findings of the Seymour Panton-chaired commission. He has rejected the finding that he acquired an asset for which the source of funding was not explained. The Prime Minister told Parliament the entire matter started because of an incorrect statement from a bank. Holness says the matter has since been rectified. But the Prime Minister questions the Integrity Commission's conclusions. He specifically rejects allegations that he hindered the examinations of his declarations by failing to provide requested information.
Let it be known that I have complied with any obligation placed on me within the law. As far as I am aware, the company with which I am directly associated is compliant and up to date with its filing.
In his first reaction to the investigation that has dogged his administration and threatened his political career, the Prime Minister says he has remained committed to his job despite attempts to distract him. Holness launched an impassioned defense of his conduct in public office. He says he has always worked hard for all he has achieved.
I don't wear my background as a badge or try to exploit it or exploit my humble beginnings for political sympathy. I don't do it. I don't do it because I believe in working for what you have, regardless of where you come from. And Mr. Speaker, I have worked hard. You know, people just see the achievements. They don't know the hours, the nights, the hard work.
The Prime Minister says he will continue to rely on God for strength.
Mr. Speaker, I will take legal advice on this report and its recommendations, including recommendations for referral to other entities. And Mr. Speaker, I will continue to pray to God for guidance and strength as I continue to lead Jamaica.
Ricardo Brooks for Nationwide News.
Thank you, Ricardo. And the Prime Minister went on further to say the context in which the Integrity Commission Act is operating has weakened its credibility.
While I will not pursue the view that this was politicized, I believe it is commonly agreed that the law governing the Integrity Commission is in urgent need of revision. The current context of its operations does weaken its credibility, and we must do everything to ensure that the appropriate laws are in place to prevent the politicization of the Commission and to support the Commission in its work.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness. We're going to take our first break and then come back with more on the tabling of the Special Investigation Report from the Integrity Commission in the Parliament this afternoon.
Clearing personal non-commercial shipments at the port? Avoid the wait. Request a contactless clearance through your agent today. It's more efficient. It's secure. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
5:45.
When I grow up, I'm going to be a famous gamer with viral videos all over the internet. I'm going to be rich. Good thing I'll already know how to take care of my money since Mommy got me this Sure Start account.
Open a CIBC Caribbean Sure Start account for your kids and give them a head start on financial smarts with a $1,200 sign-up bonus from us. We believe in their dreams as much as you do, so let's get them going together. Start young, start strong with Sure Start from CIBC.
Upgrade your kitchen and bathroom to the next level with Unique Living. They're the ultimate destination for all your kitchen and bathroom needs, from luxurious shower systems to exquisite faucets, vanities, sinks, toilets, closets, and more. They have it all. Visit shop number 6, 30 Dunrobin Avenue, Kingston 10, or call them at 876-755-3661. Elevate your space with Unique Living, where quality meets expectations.
Outperform, outlast. With top performance. Easy Jackama. Reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electricians. Fancy select tools, 3 parts and 3 repairs. 3 parts, 3 repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-61114. Delta Supply. We service what we sell.
You good, Mark? No. From where they have these terrible heartburns. I don't know why. What kind of food you eating? To tell you the truth, I mostly eat fast food. I live alone and I'm too busy for cook my youth. That's your problem. You're eating too much processed food and building up trans fat. Trans fat? What that? Trans fat is a type of fat in a processed foods like fried chicken, fries, donuts, and them things there. So how that cause heartburn? So eating trans fat can cause acid reflux. So if you don't stop eat it or cut back on the amount you eat, things can get worse. Like what? You can get heart attacks, stroke, type 2 diabetes, or even die. But fats and oils not important for eat, my youth. Yes, but the healthy kind in a vegetable aisle, nuts and fish. Okay, I'm gonna switch up my diet starting today. Just remember to balance it out with your fresh fruits, vegetables, and ground provision.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Yes, Kemlani Mart is making deals.
Really? Deals like what?
On scratch, dented, new furniture and appliances.
Oh, that's great.
And that's not all. Kemlani Mart has tiles, toilets, doors at crazy low prices.
So I can make a deal on a sofa set?
Of course, and dining room sets, outdoor furniture, ACs and more. No reasonable offer will be refused.
Only at Kemlani Mart, Manor Center and 77 King Street.
I love this place, you see.
12 minutes going up to 6 o'clock. If you're just joining us in the cover story, I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
I'm Ricardo Brooks.
And we're giving you the details of what's contained in the Integrity Commission's Special Investigation Report into allegations against the Jamaican Prime Minister, whether he has illicitly enriched himself. No, says the Commission, they have been unable to conclude that he has illicitly enriched himself. But they are raising several concerns. Among them, they're calling on the Tax Administration of Jamaica, TAJ, and the Financial Investigations Division, FID, to probe the accounts of companies with ties to the Prime Minister for potential irregularities. The accounts show millions of dollars being transferred between them, with the Integrity Commission's Director of Investigations, Kevin Stevenson, suggesting the figures are not properly supported. In the report tabled in the Parliament this afternoon, Stevenson says it will need to be determined whether these entities are above board. Dana Davey has more on that story.
According to the Director of Investigations, Prime Minister Holness is connected with or had financial interests in 3 companies. These are Imperium, Positive Media, and Estate Bridge. A forensic examination of bank accounts attributable to Mr. Holness and the referenced companies for the period January 1, 2020 to June 13, 2023 revealed intercompany deposits and withdrawals in excess of $470 million and $427 million respectively. Deposits in the sum of more than $250 million were made to Imperium's accounts over the stated period. Imperium is wholly owned by Mr. Holness and is a holding vehicle for his assets. Imperium is the successor company to ADMAT, a company which was set up for a similar purpose in St. Lucia. Mr. Holness's residence and all other substantial assets are held in Imperium. This company makes investments as well as acquires loans. Positive Media is a company set up by Mr. Holness to, among other things, manage his image. There were initially 2 shareholders in this company, Mr. Holness holding 99 shares and Mr. Mark Azan holding 1 share. However, Mr. Holness forfeited his shares in 2022, which are now held by his son Andrew Matthew Holness, while Mark Azan remains a shareholder. Positive Media is said by Mr. Holness to be funded through Imperium. But the Integrity Commission says the evidence does not support this. The Director of Investigations says, in fact, Positive Media has made transfers of more than $70 million to Imperium over the period. Transfers from Imperium's accounts totaling more than $51 million were also seen. This leaves a surplus of just under $19 million in Imperium's account based on the funds transferred thereto from Positive Media. The DI says an examination of tax returns filed by Positive Media does not suggest that Positive Media generated sufficient capital to be able to provide the loan amount mentioned above. He says this, therefore, raises questions as to the operations of Positive Media and whether the DI is in possession of the full facts. In any event, Mr. Stevenson says this is something which will require a thorough investigation by the FID. Meanwhile, another company, Green Merald, is said to have provided loans totaling more than $20 million between 2021 and 2022 to Positive Media. The funds were provided by way of bank transfers. A total of almost $25 million was transferred from Positive Media's account to Green Merald's account. That's $4.3 million in excess of the loan amount. The Director of Investigation says no explanation was provided for this surplus. Furthermore, the DI, having reviewed the nil tax returns and tax returns submitted by Green Merald for the years 2021 and 2022, respectively notes that they do not suggest that this company is generating the level of income that would support it providing such loans. Mr. Stevenson says based on the foregoing, referrals to the FID and the TAJ are justifiable in the circumstances. He says it will need to be determined by FID and TAJ whether the companies named are operating within the parameters of the laws of Jamaica, given the remit of those entities, and whether recommendations ought to be made to any other authority. The Integrity Commissioners supported this call. They say no finality can be obtained on the matter until this is done. Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
Thank you, Dana. Ricardo?
No, there's several places that we can start this afternoon, but I want to start, Cliff, Siobhan, listeners, with a simple question. What did the Prime Minister know, and when did he know it? Why do I say that? A lot has turned over the life of this saga on whether parliamentarians who were being investigated, specifically, it has circled around illicit enrichment, yes, knew that they were being investigated for that offense. Now, there is an item here where the Director of Investigation chronicles how this investigation has developed. And on May 5, 2023, he tells us that a letter was sent to Mr. Holness advising him of the referral received for investigation. I would like to know, what exactly did the Director of Investigation tell the Prime Minister had been referred to him to investigate? What specifically?
Well, Ricardo, it actually says on May 26, another letter was sent to Mr. Holness by the DI providing him with an update on said investigation.
So we can conclude that the Prime Minister knew that an investigation had been launched and was active. What was being investigated? What was he told was being investigated?
Was he told that he was being investigated for illicit enrichment?
I think that question is material, and I think it's a starting point. And I think the Prime Minister, at the soonest opportunity, must clarify for the country whether the Integrity Commission told him
from May 2023
that he was being investigated for illicit enrichment.
And this is tangible because you should be recalled that the Prime Minister was asked directly if he was informed by any parliamentarians, and one would naturally include himself as Prime Minister, if they had been informed by the Integrity Commission that they were under investigation for illicit enrichment, to which he said not to his knowledge.
This media house at every opportunity has asked him for an update on what he had been told by the Integrity Commission. And he sort of told us that, he had written back to them and they had requested information. I would like to know from the Prime Minister, what was he told was being investigated?
And a reasonable reference one could suggest is that based on the information they've requested from him and based on the information that they provided to him and he provided to the Integrity Commission, he should have reasonably assessed that a serious probe was underway in terms of, I won't say illicit enrichment, but something to that degree.
Second question I have.
Yes.
This referral to the FID. Is the FID an independent investigative arm?
No.
It works
It reports to the Ministry of Finance.
Yes, which in turn reports to the Minister of Finance.
Who is a member of the Cabinet.
Yes.
The Prime Minister's Cabinet.
Yes.
How then do you refer this matter of the statutory declarations for a body which answers...
Not the statutory declarations now. Specifically,
yes,
the operations, the transactions between three companies involving the Prime Minister.
But here's why I say the statutory declarations, because it appears that the certification of those declarations turns on that investigation that has been referred, because it says that the Director of Information and Complaint cannot certify the declarations until he satisfies himself that the entire thing has been done.
These transactions.
In a complete manner.
Intercompany transactions.
And precisely. And to be certain, these two companies are in direct relation to the Prime Minister Holness. As he said, one is for managing his image, and his son is the majority shareholder, and the other is his holding company for his assets. So these are not immaterial companies.
So there are questions now about recusal and reporting relationship.
But don't lose a key point that you're going to, Ricardo. Yeah. How are you going to ask a government agency, yes, to investigate and rule on that? Especially after you had recruited and employed an international accounting forensic examiner.
Which was my third question.
And what did he say?
And where's that report? I would have liked to see that report tabled as an addendum to this investigation report. How much was this person paid? What did he find? They said that he had investigated for 6 months. And why after that, that which was independent, an investigation, did you still think it necessary to refer this matter to the FID? What still troubles you?
In way of an explanation, and this is just me positing an explanation, the FID remains the country's premier financial investigator, bar none, including the JCF's police services. I believe they have escalated to that level because they felt that the private investigator would not necessarily have access to certain things that the FID could be able to delve into based on their powers at the Ministry of Finance.
No, I wouldn't go there, Siobhan, because you can't overcome the reality
that it reports to the cabinet.
Exactly, the finance minister. And what the International Forensic Examiner could not detect, an international accounting forensic examiner couldn't detect, how you expect the FID to do that?
Yeah, that raises questions for me. There's also been a referral to the TAJ.
Yes.
To see whether the 3 companies are in compliance with the Income Tax Act.
So this has essentially become a tax evasion probe.
And the key takeaway, as we have to take the break, is the Prime Minister's declarations are still to be certified after this because of this stalemate. What?
And where does it go from here? Where does it go from here? Because I think we're now in just uncharted waters. Does the FID now need to have
special investigator?
Yes, and how does it distance itself from the perception that it's reporting to the Minister of Finance, who then reports to the Prime Minister? Those things will have to be sorted out.
I don't see how you can turn to the FID for this. Anything the FID, let us assume they take it on, and they say, okay, we don't find anything.
There's no precedent here in Jamaica, Mr. Hughes, but there is a precedent of a similar matter in the United States when they called in a special prosecutor to probe the affairs of Mr. Trump in terms of the Russian interference and other charges that were laid against him. So it may be that the FID would have to call in their own special investigator.
Which is what the International Forensic Accounting Examiner did for 6 months.
All right. The Prime Minister's response. On the advice of my attorneys at law, I have complied with Section 39(1) of the Integrity Commission Act by submitting the required information in the form at 3rd Schedule Part A. This was done when I filed my 2021 previous and subsequent declarations. Further, subject to the objections sent by my attorneys at law for your attention, I have responded to the questions that have been asked pursuant to the investigation commenced on the 26th of April 2023. I adopt and incorporate herein all of the objections, including that at the commencement of the investigations pursuant to Section 14. No allegation of corruption was put to me. In addition, I was not told, nor was it established, that my assets are disproportionate to my lawful earnings. In response to the inquiry as to the reason the matter was referred to investigation, I was told that some new matters had arisen.
This came from the Prime Minister?
Yes, this is in the report. This is his response explaining. However, I was never told what those new matters are.
So I suppose
this is suggesting that that letter was vague.
Yes, and so the Prime Minister would not have had a clear indication that he was under investigation.
For illicit enrichment. We've got to say that. Because he knew that he was being investigated. Well.
But then that still, I realize we're supposed to go to it, but does that still raise a concern that even under the circumstances where he was asked directly about illicit enrichment, he still felt it necessary to essentially be vague about that, considering he knew that there was some investigation undergoing in relation to his own declarations?
Well, we're going to have more after the break for the news and sports inside the nation's business, because we have more to give you. We have an entire chapter here, chapter 6, conclusions and recommendations, some of which we have already given you.
171 pages, listeners.
Yes, so there's much more to come. Stay with us.
Cover Story was brought to you by Hyundai. Modern, premium, affordable vehicles.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
4 minutes after 6.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening. With the headlines at 6, I'm Nora Gay Banton. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has rejected a conclusion by the Integrity Commission that there was unexplained growth in his net worth for the year 2022. The Prime Minister made the assertion on Tuesday as he addressed the long-awaited special report from the Integrity Watchdog into his statutory declarations. Holness says the claim that there was an increase of $1.9 million, or less than 1% of his total net assets, cannot be supported as a material fact. The Prime Minister also rejects the conclusion on the basis of significance. The Prime Minister says after an extensive investigation into his affairs, the Integrity Commission was unable to find any wrongdoing.
Over 3,600 transactions were examined, 28 bank accounts, over 80 witness statements collected. This effort to pursue me and my affairs led to the hiring of an international forensic accounting examiner for 6 months. As far as I am aware, only my 2021 declaration was submitted for investigation. After this most thorough interrogation of my personal affairs, which is not in any way connected to public funds or a benefit resulting from my office, they were unable to conclude regarding illicit enrichment. Nonetheless, they concluded that in one of the 5 years they examined, 2022, there was unexplained growth in my net worth.
That growth was $1.9 million, or less than 1% of the Prime Minister's total net assets. Holness says in coming to that conclusion, the Integrity Commission relied on incorrect data.
I reject this finding based on materiality and significance. And while I have not had a chance to fully review the specifics of their calculations, just a cursory review of their formula, I have seen an error in figures they have used in their calculation. And therefore, I challenge this finding on incorrect use of data.
Meanwhile, the Prime Minister says the context in which the Integrity Commission Act is operating has weakened its credibility.
While I will not pursue the view that this was politicized, I believe it is commonly agreed that the law governing the Integrity Commission is in urgent need of revision. The current context of its operations does weaken its credibility, and we must do everything to ensure that the appropriate laws are in place to prevent the politicization of the Commission and to support the Commission in its work.
The Prime Minister says the way the entire matter related to his statutory declarations has been dealt with raises serious concerns.
The weaponization of accusations of corruption is nothing new in politics. However, even the most skeptical onlooker must conclude that the handling of this matter, time it has taken, public resources used to pursue it, raise cause for concern on many levels.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness, he was addressing the House of Representatives on Tuesday afternoon. In other news, the National Police College of Jamaica, NPCJ, has been accredited by the International Association of Directors of Law Enforcement Standards and Training. The accreditation is awarded to training academies that meet the highest standards of quality and effectiveness in their curricula, facilities, staff qualifications, and overall training programs. Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of Crime and Security Richard Stewart and Assistant Commissioner of Police Merrick Watson accepted the certificate on behalf of the constabulary at a ceremony last week. Speaking at a virtual event on restorative justice last week, Police Commissioner Dr. Kevin Blake said Jamaica is one of 34 countries to have been accredited.
We have significantly revamped our training to the extent that our National Police College of Jamaica has achieved several accreditation. We are being awarded, a ceremony we are being awarded, one of the most prestigious accreditation for police training academy. Only 34 academies have ever achieved this accreditation called IDLS. and JCF is one of that 34.
Commissioner Blake says the achievement reflects the improvements in local law enforcement training.
So this is the result of revisiting and revamping how we train our members, how we treat with the quality. And so we have the philosophy of training. We have two basic philosophies, transformational and competence-based. There are so many good things happening in the organization. You know, every time someone gets the opportunity to be embedded within the organization, there's a complete different perception they leave with than what you hear on the street. And I keep saying that the fault is ours. We need to communicate better. We need to tell our own story. And as a result of that, we have embarked significantly on this area of communications.
Dr. Kevin Blake, Commissioner of Police. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay Banton. Sports is next.
On Sunday, August 11th, in the quiet community of Cherry Tree Lane in Clarendon, our entire nation was shaken by a brutal act of violence.
Gangsters mercilessly took the lives of 8 innocent Jamaicans, including a 7-year-old boy.
These criminals will strike again, destroying more families and more communities, unless we stand together to stop them.
If you have any information that can help bring these killers to justice, please share it with the security forces.
The government has established a reward fund of $25 million for information leading to the arrest and charge of the perpetrators who committed this heinous act.
The facilitators who supply them with the arms, intelligence, and the transportation.
And those who harbor and protect these criminals after the crime.
If you know something, say something.
Call Crime Stop at 311, MOCA at 888-6622-847, the NIB at 811, or JDF at 837-8888.
Together,
we will
defeat the gangs
and develop a culture of peace in our country.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister.
With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
You want to play all your favorite Supreme Ventures games like Cashpot and Lotto in a one place? Plus bet on sports with Just Bet and horse racing with MBet? Come take a step in at the new SV Games app. All of the games you love in a one place. Step in and play all your numbers. Bet on all your sports and get enough chances to win in the only gaming app you need. SV Games from Supreme Ventures. Visit supremegames.com to download the SV Games app. More ways to bet, more ways to win at your fingertips. Must be 18 years or older to play.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Issa Digicel Manning Cup champions Mona High today ticked off their third straight victory in this season's competition following a stylish 9-1 routing of Tarrant High School. In other games today, Jonathan Grant beat Waterford by 2-0. Kingston College defeated Jose Marti also 2-0, while St. George's College, the last time we heard, they were leading Norman Manley by 5-0. Not yet a final score on that one, not that we can confirm either way. In the water, the Costa Cup last season's beaten finalist Glenmuir High School, they clobbered Winston Jones 15-0. Froome turned back McCulver 6-2, and Chovy beat Cambridge 2-0. Recees came from behind to beat Green Island by 3-2. Mannings ran out 4-1 winners over Little London. Monroe slammed Newell 4-0. BB Coke, they lead Stets 1-0. That's the last score we heard in that game. Cedric Titus, they were leading Mushet by a goal to nil. 10-man Marcus Garvey and Ferncourt ended 2-2. Herbert Morrison, they lost 1-0 to Malden. Cornwall College stopped Irwin High by a goal to nil, and McGrath tagged the Tatius Golding by 5 goals to 1. National champions of Jamaica Cavalier will look to maintain their place atop the standings in Group A of the Caribbean Football Union Club Championship when they face Real Hope of Haiti tonight at the National Stadium that's set to kick off at 7 o'clock. The Rudolph Speed Conditioned unit have won their 2 games so far this season, and a third victory would extend their advantage atop the group. Real Hope have only 1 point from their only game so far, a 1-1 draw with Police of Trinidad and Tobago, and they're currently third in the group. A win would see them leapfrogging Mount Pleasant Academy into second place. Champions Real Madrid started the defense of their European Champions League title on a winning note today. They beat VfB Stuttgart of Germany 3-1 at the Santiago de Bernabeu. Kylian Mbappe, Killy, with his 49th Champions League goal, sent them on their way before Anthony Rudiger, the German defender, and 18-year-old Brazilian star Endrick added further goals to complete the win.
Look at this, Shirley Dawes, they're in behind him. Mbappe's waiting in the middle. If he can square it to him, he did! And he scored! A special moment for a special player. Kylian Mbappe's first Champions League goal in the famous white of Real Madrid. Modric then to take the corner, 8 to go. Will we get a winner here? It's a good delivery there, and they're in front. What a good header. So simple, wasn't it? Rudiger was up there, and he scores against the club where he began his senior career. And now the counter's on. Hendrick, he's got Vinicius Junior to his right and Mbappe to his left. Had to go himself! That'll do it! On his Champions League debut, Hendrick has got the third for Real Madrid, who win on the opening night.
Meanwhile, Harry Kane scored 4 times to steer former champions Bayern Munich to an impressive 9-2 win over Dinamo Zagreb at the Allianz Arena in Munich. Liverpool came from behind to beat AC Milan 3-1 at the San Siro with Ibrahim Konaté, Dominic Szoboszlai and Virgil van Dijk on the score sheet. Elsewhere, Aston Villa were comfortable 3-0 winners over Young Boys. Juventus, the old lady of Italian football, they stopped PSV Eindhoven of the Netherlands by 3 goals to 1, and Sporting Club defeated French club Lille by 2 goals to 0. A wet outfield has caused a delay to the start of the latest Caribbean Premier League CPL game between leaders the Barbados Royals and the St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots at the Kensington Oval in Bridgetown. The Royals have only lost once this season and will virtually book a playoff spot with victory tonight. The St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots must win if they are to entertain any hopes of getting a playoff spot. They've lost 6 of their 7 games so far in the tournament. And just to tell you that the winners of this year's T20 tournament, the Women's World Cup, that begins on October 3 in the UAE, will receive US $2.34 million in prize money, an increase of 134% over the $1 million Australia were awarded for winning the tournament in 2023. The overall prize pot of US $7.95 million is also 225% more than the $2.45 million on offer in 2023. The upcoming event is a first in which the ICC will award women equal prize money as men for their respective events, a decision that was taken last June. The winners of the 2024 Men's T20 World Cup India were awarded US $2.45 million earlier this year. The difference between that amount and what the women champion will take home is down to the difference in the number of matches played by teams during the 2 events. The Men's T20 World Cup had 20 participating sides compared to 10 in the women's event. The runners-up in the 2024 Women's World Cup will take home US $1.17 million, and this in comparison to the US $500,000 awarded to the losing finalist South Africa last year. The losing semi-finalist in 2024 will earn US $675,000, an increase from US $210,000 in 2023. And all 10 participating teams in 2024 are assured of US $112,500 by just being at the tournament. The ICC announced a change in the schedule of games in Sharjah on October 5. Previously, Bangladesh and England were playing the afternoon game scheduled to start at 2 o'clock local time. Australia and Sri Lanka playing each other from 6 o'clock. In the revised schedule, Australia and Sri Lanka will play in the afternoon and England will take on Bangladesh in the evening. The 2024 Women's T20 World Cup will begin in Sharjah on October 3 with Bangladesh playing Scotland and Pakistan taking on Sri Lanka. That's sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:20.
Are you burning up with this summer heat? The place hot, man. Get cool now with a Hisense air conditioner. I feel good. With advanced energy-saving inverter technology and whisper quiet operation. Beat this heat with Hisense. Available at Aliabra Brands Limited, 64 Hagley Park Road, or call 876-676-5951 now.
So good. So good. I got you.
Upgrade your HVAC system with Getty's Refrigeration Limited. They specialize in engineering, project design, and implementation of the perfect system tailored to your home or business. For top-notch service and unbeatable reliability, trust Getty's Refrigeration Limited. Email them at grljasocialmedia@gmail.com or call 876-923-652-1-3 or visit 226 Spanish Town Road, Kingston 11. Don't wait. Stay cool with Getty's Refrigeration Limited today. Your comfort is their priority.
When I grow up, I'm going to be a famous gamer with viral videos all over the internet. I'm going to be rich. Good thing I'll already know how to take care of my money since Mommy got me this Sure Start account.
Open a CIBC Caribbean Sure Start account for your kids and give them a head start on financial smarts with a $1,200 sign-up bonus from us. We believe in their dreams as much as you do, so let's get them going together. Start young, start strong with Sure Start from CIBC.
You can have it all. Company events, birthday parties, or the wedding of your dreams. It's all possible at Grand Palladium Hotels and Resorts. We have magnificent event rooms and a dedicated team that will make your event the best experience that only Grand Palladium Hotels and Resorts can offer. Contact us at 876-619-0000 or call your favorite travel agency and ask about our promotion designed especially for you.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Robianne Williams. A special good evening to our friends on our YouTube platform. Thank you for tuning in. We invite you to weigh in live in the comment section on today's Public Opinion. Those of you who are in the hearing of my voice in Radioland, good evening to you. Hope the evening is good so far. The day is almost coming to an end. Almost. We're almost there. But yes. In Public Opinion this evening, we're talking about bullying. The Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, says it has identified the school in the video where a bullying incident recently occurred. The video has been circulating on social media. We heard earlier that it is a school in Portland, a primary school in Portland. Now, in the video, two boys aged 10 and 12 are seen holding a 9-year-old boy against a wall while he cries. One of the older boys can be heard shouting, "You forget your conch, so just take it now." And what followed, for me, I know what followed after was difficult to watch. The 9-year-old repeatedly screamed "no," while a female student pleaded for the boys to leave him alone. Despite this, one of the older boys continued to punch and kick the younger boy until he fell on the ground. Chief Executive Officer of the CPFSA, Lord Adams Thomas, says the agency will be sending officers to provide counseling and support for those persons involved in the incident. She says it's disturbing to see students unfazed in the face of blatant bullying.
We were able to identify the school that this incident took place, and we'll be sending our officers to intervene and to provide counseling as well as other forms of psychosocial support to the victim in this incident, as well as to the perpetrators. The video was horrifying, and it is more so disturbing to think that based on the participation and reaction of the students, that they were unfazed by this type of violence. In cases of bullying, no one is left unscathed. The victim may experience immediate and devastating effects such as anxiety, severe depression, low self-esteem, which can also lead to attempted suicide, poor academic performance, just to name a few.
Ah, boy. Chief Executive Officer of the CPFSA there, Lord Adams Thomas, speaking earlier about an incident of bullying at a primary school in Portland. So in public opinion this evening, we've seen several incidents, several videos surfacing online of bullying and fighting and all kind of manner of evil break out in the schools. We're asking you for public opinion this evening. What can be done to reduce bullying in schools? In your opinion, what can be done? Let's take a look at some of the suggestions that we have here on our Facebook platform. Philip Jackson says the home must always inculcate good values and attitude at home. Inculcate rather good values and attitude at home in your children, and always interact with them to see what is going on with them. Don't just leave them to the elements of society. And I endorse that one, Philip Jackson, wholeheartedly. Ricardo Porteous is saying the children needs proper home training. Winston is saying that the only thing that should be done to eliminate bullies in schools is to have the parents be held accountable and charge them, the parents, for their children's antisocial behaviors. That's what should be done. Andrew Frater is saying that teachers need to play a more active role. Why didn't the teacher intervene in that recent viral video? He should be charged for dereliction of duty and negligence. Now, I was watching the video keenly. I don't know if the viewers, the listeners, had a chance to or had an opportunity to see the video that we're talking about. I described what happened in the video earlier. I don't know if you got an opportunity to hear, but I think a teacher asked what's going on here, and somebody answered in the video, and then I don't know where the teacher turned. But I must point out that the police say that they have launched an investigation into the matter. They have been to the school, and the children have been identified, and also their parents have been notified. But back to our public opinion question this evening: what can be done to reduce bullying in schools? Guest Godley is saying bullying is very serious. A lot of students commit suicide. Oh boy. Burnzo is saying simple, good parenting. Dina George Monroe: make the parents them keep them broke bad pitney at them yard. But if that cannot happen, then schools need to establish and enforce policies that outline its expectations of student interactions and effect a zero tolerance approach to violations of that policy. Indeed, Edney Powell says proper home training. Jamaica Snapshot: monitor students at all times. And I can never understand how parents just leave up them pitney, make me like, I don't know. Natalie Winter says better governance of school to pinpoint the problem. And Michelle Bernard believes that the ones that are known to be bullies should be enforced to wear a big bold sign stamped in their foreheads: bullies are monsters. Wow. Nelly is saying bullies are made from home, hence parents need to work on their parenting skills and stop tolerate every foolishness where them pickney do. Some parents laugh at everything where the pickney do, so them never wrong for them yet. Therefore, them go to school, go portray the same behavior and think it's cool. Taking said palm people pickney is not okay, and there should be a law for bullies no matter the age. And if me pickney them do it too, somebody pickney, Me deal with it and accept it because me and one mother we not tolerate foolishness. And I think as parents, oftentimes we may tolerate the foolishness sometimes. You know, on our Instagram platform, Prince No Fraud says, lock them up so they understand the gravity of their actions. Robert Gregory Lewis saying the ones who carry out those criminal acts in school should be dismissed and go to a detention camp. And Stepper Driver is saying bully the bully. Yeah, bully the bully. Wow, I don't think that will solve the issue any at all or reduce the issue of bullying. And that's what we're trying to solicit ideas, suggestions about. How do we reduce bullying in schools? What can be done? Leighton Levy says parents need to be held accountable. And Jamaican Empress telling us to send them back home for their bully parents. Oh boy. All right, let me see some of the comments on our YouTube platform. Yeah. David Nebar is saying kids are product of the home. Let me see if I can get in some more. Angela O'Malley is saying charge the parents. And Derek Lewis believes that we should teach our children self-defense. Teach our children self-defense. Jacqueline Thomas says take one out. They will never bully you again. Okay. Wow. And bullying is a serious thing. It starts from the tender age and, you just take set palm people pitney. It's a serious thing. Rose Chin says the same people these children are, the same ones voting, careless people. Okay. Let me see if I can get in some more. Cheyenne Atkinson is saying sorry to start at home. When it's all said and done, training start at home. These kids need good family values and how to conduct themselves around other people and to respect other people. And socialization plays a key role. How your children socializes with others, it's a key role. Jackie Lawrence says introduce mentorship in schools. I think they do have some programs there. JW is saying yes, that male teacher should have intervened. Yes, it was a teacher. I believe I heard a teacher. Barbara Johnson says as a parent, the judge sentenced me. I don't hit my children because they are good at behaving. The child can give it, so let's take it back. I don't know, man. I just don't know. Sangster Brown is saying that's a symptom of a wider society. Look what happened at the... Okay, that's political right there, Sangster Brown, but I get your point. Let me see. Timothy Reed says if it was my child, I would go and deal with the child. Timothy Reed, I don't know, man. I just don't know how that... I don't know. But to each his own opinion, and we welcome your opinion. Student for Life said these violent games and cartoons that our children watch is being played out in our students at school. He should be suspended and referred to the child guidance clinic in the parish. Bobby Lee believes that children live what they learn. Yeah? Live what they learn. Hewlett Wright is saying, after me try raise my picnic good, these future criminals only given counseling. Wow. Yeah. Rose Chin, you're asking me, I'm a parent, what would I do? What would I do? Yeah. That's a good question. And I really and truly do not want to be in that position. But I suppose I would have to go and find out what exactly happened. Yeah. Wow. I just don't know, man. I just do not know how. And if you got the chance to watch the video, it's a little boy. He's 9, and you can definitely see the height of the other 2 boys. Oh boy, I don't know. Jacqueline Thomas says that's a good question. Oh boy, it is a lot. But guys, thank you so much for participating in Public Opinion. It do means a lot. Thank you so much. We have the business report coming up next. Do stay tuned.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:33. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. Let's get to it. Instagram is making teen accounts private by default as it tries to make the platform safer for children amid a growing backlash against how social media affects young people's lives. Now, beginning Tuesday in the US, UK, Canada, and Australia, anyone under 18 who signs up for Instagram will be placed into restrictive teen accounts, and those with existing accounts will be migrated over the next 60 days. Teens in the European Union will see their accounts adjusted later this year. Meta acknowledges that teenagers may lie about their age and says it will require them to verify their ages in more instances, like if they try to create a new account with an adult birthday. The company also said it is building technology that proactively finds teens' accounts and pretend to be grown-ups, teens who pretend to be grown-ups, and automatically place them into the restricted teen accounts. The teen accounts will be private by default. Private messages are restricted, so teens can only receive them from people they follow or are already connected to. Now get this, teens will also get notifications if they're on Instagram for more than 60 minutes, and a sleep mode will be enabled that turns off notifications and sends auto replies to direct messages from 10 p.m. until 7 a.m. Now, while these settings will be turned on for all teens, 16 and 17-year-olds will be able to turn them off. Children under 16 will need their parents' permission to do so. In the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 158 Jamaican dollars and 83 cents to buy $1 US, 209 Jamaican dollars and 30 cents to buy $1 British pound, and 117 Jamaican dollars and 72 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
Time for a new look.
And high time to get serious about protecting our home and investment.
It's time to choose BH Paints with over 60 years experience in quality paint finishes. Their products are superior and long-lasting.
Time to check them out.
Ask about BH Paints 100% acrylic Ultima Plus paint and primer in one. Experience rich colors with advanced UV and mildew-resistant technologies, independently tested by experts. What are you waiting for? Visit a BH Paints Color Center today.
Pack it on a budget, so me reach KFC. New crunchy box meal. That for me a piece of chicken, 2 wings, biscuit, and a drink. Crunchy box of the flavor, so we make the lid. Value for your money, flavor and the taste. KFC, crunchy box run the place. So much variety, the box now no space. KFC, Crunchy Box run the place.
Crunch your craving with the new KFC Crunchy Box. A piece of delicious chicken, 2 hot wings, biscuit, and Pepsi for only $850. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Looking to rent a fully operational production studio? Then Nationwide 90 FM has got you covered. We have flexible options to meet your recording needs any day of the week. Monday to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Saturdays and Sundays available upon request. Bookings must be made in advance. Call us today at 630-1210. Let us help you reach your production desires.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's Word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Alan Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we are all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Catch the E-Zone with me, the Stinger Honeybee, alongside
Kareem Boy Ting.
As we turn up the heat
in the street. New show.
New vibes.
Same us.
Same us.
Monday to Friday, 3 to 5 p.m.
Right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
We'll bring you entertainment news.
We'll take away your Monday blues.
You don't want to miss a week with us.
We'll talk health.
Well,
jump into the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss the brain buster.
Or the crazy giveaways.
I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow.
As we grow older, there are many challenges that we have to confront, but these years can represent the best in our lives. Coming of Age during Nationwide This Morning on Thursdays explores issues persons 50 and over confront. It also provides expert opinions on how we can improve the quality of our lives as we get older. That's Coming of Age, this and every Thursday during Nationwide This Morning at 6:51 a.m.
The usual story is told. Mothers wash the clothes. The bloody element is a secret. The wrongs are always denied. The girlfriends and mothers of their children defend their honor and double down to deflect their deeds. Even some who sit in church regularly keep praying for their sons and nephews to change their wicked ways while accepting the spoils of their crimes and murderous ways. It is an uncomfortable reality, but should we avoid talking about it? Join me, Rodney Campbell, every Tuesday from 9 to 10:30 p.m. for Affairs of the Heart, right here on Nationwide 90 FM. This Tuesday's topic, the role women play in creating and covering criminals.
Appear juvenile, run downtown, run downtown, run downtown.
Affairs of the Heart is brought to you by Supermed Pharmacy. Super happy, super healthy, Supermed.
Do you have a consumer-related issue? Want to learn more about matters concerning you as a consumer? Well, keep it locked to Nationwide 90 FM for the Consumer Hour with me, Nora Gay Banton. Weekdays from 9 to 10 a.m. For all your consumer-centric matters, stay tuned to the Consumer Hour on Nationwide 90 FM, a revolution in media.
Nation's Business is brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
Good evening. 17 minutes going up to 7 o'clock. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Good evening, Siobhan.
Good evening, Sir Hughes.
Good. So we're continuing to give you more from the special investigation report of the Integrity Commission into the Prime Minister's statutory declarations uncertified and still remain uncertified, and we're now going to focus on the conclusions and recommendations. They say, and we're going to read from the report for you. 6.1. The Director of Investigation, the DI, concludes that Mr. Holness was required to file statutory declarations with the Commission for the periods in question, which he did. The DI further concludes that Mr. Holness, having filed the referenced statutory declarations, failed to include in them at least 4 bank accounts jointly held by him at the material time, contrary to the Integrity Commission Act and the Parliament Integrity of Members Act.
The Integrity Commission goes on to say, and this is 6.1.2, the DI concludes that on the basis of the analysis conducted on Mr. Holness's Imperium's assets, liabilities, and incomes for the year 2021, there does not appear to be any unexplained growth in net worth. In 2022, however, the DI found what appeared to be unexplained growth in Mr. Holness's Imperium's net worth of just over $1.9 million. The DI's conclusion is premised on the fact that based on the evidence available to him, inclusive of explanations provided, the increase observed in Mr. Holness's assets or net worth cannot, without more, be justified by his known income and liabilities. The DI was, however, hindered in his attempts to fully resolve this issue on the basis of Mr. Holness's refusal to provide him with a breakdown of his expenses for the period covered by the investigation. This refusal on the part of Mr. Holness inhibited the DI's ability to make a more comprehensive and final assessment of Mr. Holness's assets, liabilities, and income. In other words, the DI says he was not in a position to determine what portion of Mr. Holness's income was used for living and other expenses, and therefore not available for asset acquisition.
He goes on. Further, the questions surrounding the use of funds belonging to Positive Jamaica Foundation to purchase, in part, a bond worth US $94,000 and the operations of companies with which Mr. Holness is or was associated and which he named as a source of funds to acquire particular assets would also need to be resolved by the relevant entities before the DI can make a final conclusion on the question of illicit enrichment. Significant financial transactions were seen among 3 of the referenced companies, namely Imperium, Positive Media, and Estate Bridge. More particularly, the evidence indicates deposits and withdrawals totaling over $473 million and $427 million, respectively, between 2020 and June 2023. That's a period of what, 3-4 years?
About 3 years, yes. Well, the DI goes on further, and this is 6.1.3, having regard to an asset at NFE South Power, 11% 2039 bond acquired by Mr. Holness on September 2, 2019 at a cost of US $94,000, the DI concludes that only US $61,892.98 was funded by him. The remaining amount of $32,000 $107.02 was taken from funds apparently belonging to a registered charity, Positive Jamaica Foundation, of which Mr. Holness was at the material time a director.
The DI further concludes that Mr. Holness's indication on July 16, 2024, that the full portion of the bond, US $94,000, was erroneously attributed to him by NCBCM, that's NCB Capital Markets, is misleading and unsupported by the evidence. The DI's conclusion is based on the following. 1. Mr. Holness had, throughout the life of the bond, reported same to the Commission in his statutory declarations as his asset. It was never indicated that it did not fully belong to him. 2. Mr. Holness, prior to the purchase of the bond, entered into a written bond purchase agreement which clearly states the value of the bond to be US $94,000. 3. The duly authorized officer at NCBCM indicated that in purchasing the US $94,000 bond, they acted on Mr. Holness's written instructions provided by way of a schedule to the contract. This document is ordinarily completed by the client, and that no concerns were raised by Mr. Holness in relation to any contrary intention. Concerns were only raised by Mr. Holness in June 2024 when NCBCM made contact with him to ascertain the source of funds for the purchase. 4. Regular statements were provided to Mr. Holness by NCBCM which clearly stated the value of the bond and any interest yield. 5. In 2020, the proceeds from another bond placed at the same time as the US $94,000 belonging to Positive Jamaica Foundation were erroneously deposited in Mr. Holness's personal account. The error was reported to NCBCM by Mr. Holness, and the necessary adjustments were made. There was no indication at that time that there was an error in respect of the US $94,000 bond purchased in Mr. Holness's name. And 6. The bond in question, US $94,000, was called in 2020, and the principal and interest were paid to Mr. Holness. The proceeds were incorporated into Mr. Holness's assets, which he holds in Imperium and subsequently reinvested. This asset in its totality was treated as belonging to Mr. Holness in every material respect up to June 2024. When the DI's investigations led to inquiries being made of Mr. Holness as to the source of funds used to purchase the asset in issue, Mr. Holness's explanation in this regard concludes, Mr. Stevenson, therefore, for the foregoing reasons, be rejected and be deemed unsatisfactory. So this is a red flag.
Yes.
Yes? A red flag, according to the Director of Investigations, Kevon Stevenson.
Well, the DI further goes on and concludes that the funding of the company, Positive Media, in which Imperium, wholly owned by Mr. Holness, was a majority shareholder before being replaced by one of Mr. Holness's sons in 2022, raises several concerns as to the true nature of this company's operations. The DI's conclusion is premised on Mr. Holness's explanation as to the funding of the referenced company, wherein he indicated that Positive Media is funded by Imperium. The evidence obtained by the DI suggests that Positive Media was funding Imperium rather than Imperium funding Positive Media. The amounts totaling over $70 million were transferred from Positive Media to Imperium and over $50 million from Imperium to Positive Media. During the relevant period, a surplus of approximately $20 million remained in Imperium's account. The foregoing will need to be ventilated by the relevant competent authority, which the DI has assessed should be the Tax Administration and Financial Investigation Divisions.
Yes. The DI 615. The DI concludes that the filing of nil income tax returns for the years 2021 and 2022 on the part of Imperium, Estate Bridge, and Positive Media in circumstances where those companies reported income and other business activities in their audited financial statements poses significant tax compliance concerns. The DI further concludes that the filing of a nil income tax return, an income tax return with income of $355,100 by Green Emerald in 2021 and 22 respectively, in circumstances where this company had, over the referenced period, provided short-term loans to Positive Media of over $20 million, and more importantly, appeared to be in operation also raises serious tax compliance concerns. It is accepted and understood that a company, though operating at a loss, may well be in a position to offer loans. The live issue here, however, is whether the named companies had any income and expenses over the relevant period, which were not disclosed in their returns to TAJ.
The DI further concludes that the foregoing conduct on the part of the principals of Imperium, Estate Bridge, Positive Media, and Green Emerald prima facie constitutes a fundamental undermining of the tax laws, and more particularly a breach of Section 99(1) of the Income Tax Act. This breach deprived the government of the opportunity to make an assessment as to whether any taxes were due for the years 2021 and 2022. In respect of the named companies, and if so, the amount due and payable.
The DI at 616 concludes that the appointment of Mr. Norman Brown, a business associate of Mr. Holness, as chairman of the Urban Development Corporation and the Housing Agency of Jamaica, poses significant conflict of interest concerns. These concerns emanate from the fact that both entities fall under Mr. Holness's portfolio as Minister of Economic Growth and Job Creation. As established above, Mr. Brown, who is a minority shareholder in the Estate Bridge, has made the single largest shareholder contribution, that's financial, to this company since its incorporation. Notwithstanding the foregoing, there is no direct evidence to suggest that there were any improprieties on the part of Messrs. Holness and Brown.
And in 6.1.7, the DI concludes that the conduct of Berita in its grant of a $50 million loan to the Imperium raises several prudential concerns. The DI's conclusion is grounded in the fact that the collateral said to have been provided for the loan either did not exist in the name of the borrower, that being Imperium, or did not exist at the material time. Also, a legal mortgage which should have been registered in favor of Berita was not so registered.
Further, and as it relates to Berita's indication that the practice of not formally securing the loan by way of registration, but rather keeping the documents in registrable form, is not unusual in respect of premium clients, is unsatisfactory. The DI's finding in this regard is premised on the fact that the documents contained certain fundamental errors which would almost certainly render the security unregistrable. In the case of a mortgage, if the borrower, therefore, were to default on the loan, Berita would not be able, without the borrower's assistance, to register the mortgage against the property put up as collateral. The fact that an insurance policy that should have been assigned to the loan was not so assigned is further evidence of the significant risk associated with this business model. The foregoing effectively resulted in the grant of an unsecured loan where a secured loan was intended.
And those are the conclusions. Which would next come up now, listeners, is the recommendations of the Director of Investigations, that's Kevon Stevenson, and it starts with 6.2.1, where the DI recommends that this report be referred to the Director of Corruption Prosecution for consideration as to whether the offense of making a false statement in a statutory declaration and or any other offenses have been committed.
Well, we know the answer to that.
Yes.
That recommendation has not been accepted.
And before we move on, I do have that HPM ruling there from the Director of Corruption Prosecution. And she essentially says that based on what has been provided, there is nothing on the matter of the 4 accounts where Mr. Holness has not essentially provided a sufficient explanation. Mm-hmm. And they find it very difficult that it would be able to mount an actual challenge to suggest that he intentionally misled the commission.
Right. Next recommendation. Respecting the tax compliance concerns around the filing of nil income tax returns on the part of Imperium, Estate Bridge, Positive Media, and Green Emerald, in circumstances where these entities appeared to be engaged in business activities, the DI recommends that a copy of this report be referred to the Commissioner General, Tax Administration, Jamaica, for the necessary assessment to be made and, where required, for the appropriate penalties to be imposed.
And at 6.2.3, having regard to the questions around the funding and operations of Positive Media, Positive Jamaica Foundation, and Green Emerald, the DI recommends that a copy of this report be referred to the FID for the necessary investigation to be conducted. The findings of the DI's investigation raises significant questions around the income-generating capacity of the referenced companies relative to the funds which have been identified in their accounts. In the case of Positive Media, the loans issued, transfers made to Imperium. In the case of Green Emerald, the loans issued to Positive Media, and in the case of Positive Jamaica Foundation, the circumstances surrounding the alleged use of funds belonging to Positive Jamaica Foundation by Mr. Holness as a partial source of funds for the purchase of bonds in his name. The DI's powers and limited resources
and exigencies relative to remit and time do not allow him to sufficiently ventilate this issue. Next, consequent on the finding that Mr. Norman Brown, a business partner of Mr. Holness, is the chairman of two of Jamaica's large development corporations, the Urban Development Corporation and the Housing Agency of Jamaica, within Mr. Holness's ministerial portfolio, the DI recommends that a copy of this report be referred to the Ethics Committee of Parliament to examine and determine the appropriateness of a minister, directly or indirectly, appointing a business associate or other personal connections to a public board which falls under their portfolio. The committee should also, inter alia, consider whether there are sufficient safeguards in place to comprehensively deal with any conflict of interest situation which may arise as a result of the personal or business relationship between the minister and board appointee, with a view to ultimately protecting the public's interest.
Before we move on from that one, Mr. Hughes, is that unusual in terms of Jamaica's governance, where a personal business associate or friend is appointed to a board under a cabinet minister's portfolio? I think that is almost par for the course.
I wouldn't say it's unusual at all. It's not unusual. It doesn't look good in terms of the potential for conflict of interest.
Yes.
But I don't see, from my limited business knowledge, let me make that clear, limited business knowledge, but it is a common practice. Ministers appoint people who, not only for their competence, but their loyalty as well.
People they trust.
Yes, to boards under which that fall under their ministerial portfolio. So I don't know. This is not unusual.
Well, moving on, 6.2.5, having regard to the concerns raised in respect of the conduct of Berita around their handling of the $50 million loan to Imperium, the DI recommends that a copy of this report be referred to the Financial Services Commission for consideration as to whether the practices of that entity are consistent with the spirit and scheme of the Financial Services Commission Act. It is further recommended that an audit be conducted by the Financial Services Commission of Berita's operations to determine whether they are compliant with the law, industry standards, as well as the terms
and conditions of their license, where there are breaches identified on the part of Berita, that the Financial Services Commission impose such sanctions as may be deemed necessary and appropriate in the circumstances, so that confidence may be restored and maintained within the financial sector.
So we can say in this instance, this is for Berita to answer, not the Prime Minister.
Yes.
Well, it goes on at 6.2.6. As a last recommendation, the DI directs the attention of the Parliament and the Cabinet Secretary to the issue of parliamentarians and public officers engaging in the purchasing of shares and other equities in public corporations, as well as private companies which fall under the regulatory regime of the Government of Jamaica, Without prejudice to the right of any citizen to engage in any of the foregoing activities, the DI recommends that strict laws and guidance be implemented to mitigate conflict of interest and abuse of authority for financial gain, and other actions which may, in substance, amount to insider trading. It cannot be overlooked that parliamentarians and public officers, by virtue of their respective positions, will come into confidential information from time to time, having to do with investment opportunities directly or indirectly arising from government interventions and policies which they could use to their advantage or for the benefit of another.
So the DI is recommending that the Parliament and the Cabinet Secretary take a look at this.
And I think that is probably one of the strongest recommendations in here, because that has serious implications. They are accurate in suggesting that, yes, a minister would have access to some information that would affect the market or the flow of the market, in which he could personally or recommend to a friend or a family member to benefit from those adjustments.
Yes.
I'm actually surprised to find that this is not already part of our legal structure.
And finally, having regard to the above findings and recommendations of this report, Kevin Stevenson writes, it cannot be ignored that as Prime Minister and Head of Government, Mr. Holness has a higher duty to the public to ensure that the laws of Jamaica are maintained, and that he bears in mind and acts according to established public virtues which have been in existence since time immemorial, and which have been succinctly encapsulated in the Nolan Principles of public life. The import of Nolan Principles is that those who hold public office should embody the virtues of selflessness, integrity, objectivity, accountability, openness, honesty, and leadership. This, of course, is not to question Mr. Holness's commitment to the virtues aforementioned, except to say that a number of the findings of this report are antithetical to those virtues. Well, he tried to walk it back a little, but that was a reprimand.
That was a scathing.
Yes, reprimand and scolding of the Prime Minister, that he's not living up to the higher duty required of his office. Yes.
Well, I mean, just to point out to listeners, to this we have the letter or the indicative ruling from the Director of Corruption Prosecution, that's Keisha Prince Kamika. And one of the two interesting things about it, the first part is that this letter calls on Mrs. Holness as the Speaker of the House to recuse herself when this document is being tabled, which she did do, and it was actually... The sitting of today's Parliament was actually presided over by the Deputy Speaker, Heroic Clark. I believe Mrs. Holness was not present at today's meeting of the House of Representatives in concurrence with this request by the Integrity Commission that she essentially recuse herself. And the further into this letter, it simply states that the Commission's Director of Corruption Prosecution has, pursuant to the provisions of the Integrity Commission Act, inclusive of the aforementioned sections 53B and 54.4 of the Act, and sections 34.1A and 34.1B thereof, reviewed the subject investigation report and has ruled that upon careful consideration it was determined that no charges are to be laid. The matter was referred to the Director of Corruption Prosecution on the recommendation of the Director of Investigation, following the conclusion of his investigation with respect to possible breaches of the Corruption Prevention Act 2001 and the Integrity Commission Act 2017 and committed offences.
And all of these we'll have to put on our website, because we don't have time to read through the report from the Corruption Prosecution Division. Yes, that this is another 16 pages long. Yes, and it's entitled Investigation Report into the Statutory Declarations submitted by the Most Honourable Mr. Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, for the years 2019-2022 in respect of concerns that he owns assets disproportionate to his lawful earnings, and that he made false statements in his statutory declarations by way of omissions contrary to law. And Mrs. Prince Kamika outlines the background to the issues. She deals with each of the 4 bank accounts that we had reported for you, the bank accounts at BNS, yes, where she said, in part, bank account number 21 opened January 27, 1989 by Holness's father, right?
Yes.
Status as at May 30, 2023, 40,606. Bank account 64 opened January 10, 1984. That time Holness was 12 years old. Yes, it was active up to May 30, 2023, $149,000. Bank account 60 opened June 20 by his mother, yeah? And that was opened June 20, 1975, when he was 3 years old. Yes, it's still active as at May 30, 2023, with 204,000. And bank account 42 opened July 2005. Yes?
Yes. And this document essentially is the Director of Corruption Prosecution looking at the evidence provided by Mr. Stevenson in relation to those 4 accounts and coming to her conclusion that there really is nothing here, that she could potentially mount a case against Mr. Holness.
Yeah.
And it outlines in every question that was asked to Mr. Holness and the responses that were provided. And to her knowledge, she suggests that those questions were sufficiently answered by Mr. Holness.
And she concluded in her ruling, in light of the foregoing, there is insufficient evidence on file to establish that the Honorable Prime Minister, by way of omission, made a false statement in his statutory declaration for period ending December 31, 2021, as it relates to BNS savings account number 60, 42, 21, and 64. Accordingly, no charges are to be laid. So, that's essentially it. We're going to post this on our website by tomorrow, so you can go and read it at your leisure. All right? This is Nationwide at 5.
Nation's Business was brought to you by BH Paints. Paint it, love it with BH Paints.
Me, busy as usual, so I don't have no time for whole heap of paperwork. That's why I downloaded and signed up for my One JN Passport app. It's a whole new level of convenience and access to services within the JN Financial Group. Just a few taps on my smartphone and box. I can update my personal information, open a JN Bank savings account, and even apply for an unsecured loan. Get it all in one go. Download and sign up now. The One JN Passport app. JN will help you find a way.
Here's to the early risers, and we are here all-nighters. But go the extra milers, and let's do it until it works. Workers, people who are powerful because they power through day after day, challenge after challenge. You see, true power, it's not something you can buy or collect. It is something that starts on the inside, and you always know it when you see it. Sunshine Snack Peanuts. Proud supporters of the powerful.
On Sunday, August 11th, in the quiet community of Cherry Tree Lane in Clarendon, our entire nation was shaken by a brutal act of violence.
Gangsters mercilessly took the lives of 8 innocent Jamaicans, including a 7-year-old boy and several women.
These criminals will strike again, destroying more families and more communities unless we stand together to stop them.
If you have any information that can help bring these killers to justice, please share it with the security forces.
The government has established a reward fund of $25 million for information leading to the arrest and charge of the perpetrators who committed this heinous act.
The facilitators who supplied them with arms, intelligence, and transportation.
Those who harbor and protect these criminals after the crime.
If you know something, say something.
Call Crime Stop at 311, Mocha at 888-6622-847,
NIB at 811 or the JDN at 837-8888.
Together, we will defeat the gangs and develop a culture of peace in our country.
The proceeding was brought to you by the Ministry of National Security.
With so much to do in one location, make Megamart your one-stop shop. Pick up your groceries and houseware needs, grab a bite and pay some bills, fill your prescriptions and see the beauty products in our pharmacy. All in one amazing location. My Megamart, the best value by far.
Good God have mercy, hey. Good God have grace, hey. Lord have mercy, hey. Spirulina build up my confidence. Rastafari run the continent.
Good evening, listeners, viewers, and welcome to this week's episode of Nature's Remedies. This is a program to educate you about the uses of natural herbs. Tonight we'll be talking about the castor bean and the Jamaican dogwood plant and their uses both internally and externally. As usual, we'll be opening the line so you can call in with any questions later you might have for our resident pharmacognosist, that's Dr. Denise Daly. And good evening to you, Dr. Daly.
Good evening.
Good evening, Siobhan. Good evening, Cliff. And good evening, listeners.
How
are you doing today?
We're good, and I hope we find you well.
I am well. Thank you so much.
Good. So we were going to be talking all about the castor bean and the Jamaican dogwood plant. Well,
yes.
Tell me a little bit about them to start with.
All right, let's start with the castor bean. So we have a lot of castor beans in Jamaica. You see them on the roadway. A lot of persons will have it in their yards, but we just ignore the beans. However, we'll go to the supermarket or the health food store and we buy the Jamaican black castor oil. Now today, I want to talk about how can you make your castor oil from your beans and what are some of the ingredients needed? Well, not ingredients, what are some of the phytochemicals in it? And what are the benefits of using your castor oil? Mm-hmm. Have you guys used the castor oil before?
Yes, I've used the castor oil.
I have on occasion.
Yeah, rarely. Yeah. Don't use it often.
Yeah. Do you use the beans? Have you ever seen the beans?
No.
Open the pods?
No. That's what I'm looking for. That's a bean up there online?
Yes.
Oh.
So, yes. So the plant, it's very popular across Jamaica. So when you open the pods and you look at the beans, they're little dark brown to black seeds. Uh-huh. And that's what we would press to get the oils. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, the scientific name is Ricinus communis. That's our castor bean. It's also called the African coffee tree. It's called wonder tree. And it has so many remedies that we've mentioned a few, especially for the skin and for stomach ache. Now, for the castor bean, you have two types of oil you'll see on the market. You'll see a light yellow oil. That is when your castor bean is fresh and you have a cold press. So you just get the beans, clean them, press the oil, and you get that light yellow oil. Now, this oil, after you press the beans, you then filter it to get rid of the trash, and then you can package it, and that's how you have your light yellow castor oil. Now, this oil is good for your skin and your hair. It's good for hydration and, just healthy growth overall. It also has over about 90%, 80 to 90% of your ricinoleic acid. Now, that's a fatty acid that's good for the skin and the hair and a part of the medicinal property of the castor oil. Now, you hear about Jamaican black castor oil. What sets us apart when we do our production? The Jamaican black castor oil, as the name suggests, is black. So it's very dark, and that is because we normally roast the beans. So you roast the beans, and then you press it, and that's how you get your darkened castor oil. Now, that oil has a little more fragrance to it. So it normally has like a woody or a smoky scent. that's due to the ash. When you start to roast the beans, the ash within the husk, the shells of the beans, that adds to the mineral content of the oil. So you're not only getting the ricinoleic acid and the stearic and the palmitic, all these beneficial fatty acids, you're getting more minerals and more phytochemical compounds to help with the skin, to help with the hair, and for pain and inflammation. How do you normally use your castor oil?
You tell me.
All right, let's look at it. One way is with your tummy ache. So if you have a stomach ache, if you have menstrual pain or cramps or arthritic pain, one way you can use your castor oil is by you can have it just fresh, pour it in your hand, warm it in between your hands, and use it to massage the area. If it's around the navel, for stomach ache, around the navel in circular motion, and that helps to soothe the stomach. Castor oil is one of the oils that penetrate the skin very well and very deep. So it gives that analgesic effect when it penetrates the skin. To increase the benefit of that pain relieving effect, that's where the dogwood comes in. Do we know our Jamaican dogwood tree, the plant?
I've never heard of that plant before. I've never even heard that plant referenced before.
Really?
Really? Yes. Yes. Vaguely ever hear about this dogwood plant.
Oh, man. Okay. So dogwood
We're Kingstonians, you know.
I'm a Clarendonian. I don't know. I'm saying this is suggesting that I've never heard of a dogwood plant.
Siobhan cut left me. I'm a Kingstonian. Yeah?
All right.
But the dogwood plant.
Yes, the Jamaican dogwood. So Pisidia piscicula. That's the scientific name. And you also have the Erythrina species. So those two species, you'll find those. It's native to our region, and we use it for the same reason for pain and inflammation. However, it's one of the trees that we call fish poison tree. I don't remember if you remember, back in the day, we usually have a plant that fishermen would pound the leaves or the branches, put in the water, and they would be able to catch the fish with their hand.
Oh?
Yes, it's now banned, but that was due to
what it did to the fish.
It just relaxes the muscle, so it slows them down, so they would float to the top, and you're able to catch them. So it stuns them.
Oh,
so it's a very good muscle relaxant. So that's another name for it: fish poison tree.
Fish poison tree.
Yes.
AKA dogwood.
Dogwood. Now you can't mix it. You can't get it mixed up with your dog blood. It's totally different, and it looks different. It's more of a tree, medium-sized tree, while the dog blood is a shrub with little red berries.
Yes.
All right. So this muscle relaxant property that the dogwood has the analgesic benefit. So pain, inflammation. It also has a sedative effect due to the pisidine that's in the plant.
The what?
Pisidine is pisidine.
Pisidine.
Yes. Or pisidine. Pronunciation varies, but yes.
Yes.
So that compound is the same compound. It has that muscle relaxing effect. It's an alkaloid, but it also has so many medicinal value as well. It helps with sleep, insomnia, anxiety and depression. So it relaxes the nerves. And that's one of the benefits of having your dog blood tea. So persons will have it as a tea. It's good for diarrhea and headache and so on. So the dogwood is versatile. It's one of those plants that if you have it in your yard or if you have access to it, you want to have a container of it in your house, because it's very versatile in relieving a lot of ailments as well. There's this remedy I'd love to share if you have a lingering pain. You get your dog blood, get the bark. So the bark has a lot of the
dog blood or dogwood?
Dogwood.
Okay.
What did I say? Blood? Dogwood. Yes. So you get your dogwood bark, and you would get some castor oil, some olive oil, coconut oil, whichever other oil. You'd soak your dogwood and any other pain relieving plant that you want. So let's say guinea hen weed root. That's a very good one to add to it. Some pimento berries, some cannabis if you have it, and soak those in the oil. And when you have or you feel that pain, you pour some out, rub it between your hands to get it a little warm and use it to massage the area. That can help with pain relieving. And if you have some tea, makes it even more beneficial in relieving pain.
And you mean make a tea of the plant?
As in a castor bean tea?
No,
the dogwood.
Oh, the dogwood.
Oh.
Yes, the dogwood.
Mm.
So you can have the leaves as tea, you can have the bark as a tea, and it helps to give that medicinal benefit.
Yes.
So, Doc, are there any precautions that one should monitor when taking these? Is there any potential ill effects?
Yes. So for castor oil, it has ricin. So ricin is a poisonous compound in castor oil. Now, how we prepare the black castor oil, it has a reduced amount of ricin in it, but you still have your ricinoleic acid. So high quantities of castor oil taken internally can be harmful. It can cause tremors or nausea and stomach discomfort. So you normally hear, don't drink your castor oil. Part of our traditional remedies in Jamaica is when you have constipation, they'll get like half a teaspoon of castor oil and have that, and it helps to release the stool. And they'll massage the baby navel when they have griping or constipation as well. So there are cases where it is ingested in that regard. For dogwood, it is also a very strong plant. So it's recommended, it's not one of your everyday teas that you would have, because you want to ensure that you're being moderate with your dogwood. So every week is a good time frame to have your dogwood tea, or 3 to 4 days if you have it more frequently. So it gives your body time for it to help to alleviate any pain and inflammation, give that sedative effect without having any discomfort.
And no more than a cup every time you have it, or 2 cups?
1 teaspoon of the herb in 1 cup of water.
Oh. 1 teaspoon to a cup of water.
1 teaspoon.
And you shouldn't have more than 3 cups per week.
Yes, that is it.
Okay.
Yes. Pregnant and breastfeeding, you'd avoid having this tea. Yes, because there's no research showing so far the effects. So avoid until we have more research of that.
Well, just to be sure.
Yes.
You hear that, mothers? Expectant mothers? No dogwood tea for you.
Yes.
All right, who do we have?
Ludlow, good evening.
Good evening, Shava.
How are you doing, Ludlow?
Not too bad. I hear some nice argument this, so I get make a little participation.
All right, you have a question for the doc?
Dr. Daly is listening, Ludlow. Go ahead.
Yes. Good evening.
Good evening to the...
Hello?
Hi, good evening, please.
Good evening.
And,
Dr. Daly.
Dr. Daly, the nutritionist.
No, she's a pharmacognosist.
Okay.
Pharmacognosist.
Yes.
Big difference from a nutritionist.
No, I figure I've been listening to her.
Yes.
But, are there adverse conditions, adverse effects of taking the dog food? Because I understand that the flour it has some poison effect. The flour of the dogwood.
Yes.
Are you aware of that?
Yes, and that's the piscidine, the compound we're mentioning.
Okay.
So that's the same compound that will cause the muscle relaxing in the fish.
Yes.
A high doses of it can also cause the same effect in humans.
Right.
So the discomfort and the toxicity. So that's why you want to take it small doses every week, or at max 3 times per week.
Okay. But one more thing before you go down. Why do we, when you have diarrhea, or, why you have to take something? What is it, to relieve or to stop the diarrhea. Because I believe it's like the body is trying to get rid of whatever, toxins and everything. But we all seem to want to take something to stop diarrhea. So sometimes when you have a headache, it must be a symptom, and we try to take something to stop the headache. Or sinusitis, you take something, a chemical, whatever. Why do we have to do these things? Why we don't let it flow and release the toxins? Put the answer that and then I go.
No, you can't. Hold on, Ludlow.
Okay.
Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, sure. That's a good question because, as you said, when you have diarrhea, the body is getting rid of something that is or will cause harm. So we need to let it flow. So it's important for the diarrhea to pass. We don't want to keep it in because we run the risk of keeping the parasite or the harmful chemical or the bacteria, whichever microbe is in the body. So it's good to let it pass. Now, part of the diarrhea is oftentimes you get extreme cramping. So some of the medicines that we'll take or the herbal teas that we take would help to ease the pain and discomfort, while some has the antimicrobial properties or the neutralizing properties if it's too much hydrochloric acid, that indigestion. So diarrhea is the body's natural defense of getting rid of harmful substances or parasites or microbes before it actually passes the blood-brain barrier. So after the diarrhea, you usually feel a little better. You use some time to recover. Now, if that agent, whether it's a chemical or a living organism, if it passes into the blood, that's when we tend to have the sickness for a longer time. And we need stronger medication or more herbs, and you continue. So if you have a diarrhea and you drink some ginger tea, it helps to flush the system as well and to prevent the harmful substance or organism to cross over into our blood.
Wow.
It's very interesting, because I do a lot of research, Doc, and I realize that the system is toxins build up and then you need to eliminate. So when people fail to eliminate, you go toilet stuff, but they don't realize they're trying to eliminate waste. If not, you have something called it's inflammation. So it means that the body needs to be relieved of all its inflammatory, stuff.
Yes.
So, but a lot of people don't seem to understand it. Yes, they might be knowledgeable in many other areas, but in terms of your body, they're not so, knowledgeable about like the endocrine, flushing the endocrine, the cardiovascular and all of these things. But it's interesting.
It's important.
All right, Ludlow. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good. Noel, for Dr. Dennis Daly. Good evening, Noel.
Good evening to you, Cliff, Siobhan, and Dr. Daly.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thanks. Two things I want to talk to you about quickly. One, I called in last week, you may recall, about my friend and colleague who was with his sight problem, and you had given some remedies. I think it was marijuana and something else. But it wasn't so clear, so I decided I would listen to the replay. But unfortunately, it never went to that far. It just cut off partway into the nationwide news network, partway into your discussions. So I wonder if you could reiterate that for me, please. It's where the retina, he's having retina problems, so he's on. The vision is really, really poor. I remember you mentioned about that kind of plant that he could get the fluid from it that has an orange bud, but I didn't really get the full context of what you were saying. And the second point I want to talk about...
Well, hold on now. Make sure you answer that first.
All right. Thank you. All right.
All right. No problem. Yes. So while you were talking, I remember the conversation.
Yes.
So the cannabis, and we're saying you could get the eye drop. Eye drop is on the market. That will help. And two, if you have the cannabis, you create out infusion of water. Get it cool. So if you boil it and make the tea, it's cool, right to room temperature. With a clean dropper, you can help to rinse the eyes. You can use it to wash the eyes. You can use it to rinse the eye. You can also soak the cannabis in oil, coconut oil or the castor oil. And when you close your eyes, you apply it on the outside of the eyelids, right? And that will help to penetrate. The other plant I mentioned was the king of the forest. and it was the inflorescence portion that has a sterile water in the middle. We usually play with it as kids as a like water gun, nature's water gun. So that was the other plant we had mentioned last week.
That's the one with the orange bud?
Orange, yes. So it's bright orange.
Okay. In terms of the marijuana, is there any particular portion that you should boil to the amount of water and the amount of marijuana? And secondly, can you get is it just the marijuana eye drop? Can you get that over the counter from maybe the CBD stores, CBD oil stores?
I'm not sure which pharmacy or health food store has it, but usually, yes.
Okay. All right. The other very important thing I wanted to talk to you about is in regards to my son, who has rheumatoid arthritis. It's very, so he's in pain 24/7. He is also on medication from the clinic. I wondered what he's saying there. Most of the medications they don't seem to be helping. Even today, he was saying it to his mother. So I was wondering if there's any particular kind of remedy that you could, in terms of the herbal stuff, that you could recommend for him, please.
Sure, you can send me an email at drdenisedaily@gmail.com.
At Gmail.
So DRDENISEDALEY@gmail.com. And we can go through what type of medication, how can we have an integrative approach. You can have herbal teas, you can have medicinal rubs, but all that have to be done safely, and we have to look at contraindications and so on. So in terms of pain and inflammation, your ginger, your moringa, the same dogwood we were mentioning, and having that guinea hen weed oil soak to help to massage the area. So these are some things that we can do, and you always try to separate your herbs from medication at least 2 hours apart.
Right, right. All right, but those would have to be boiled separately, not all combined as one herb.
For the oil soak, it's as one. So you can send me an email and we can design that wellness plan. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, Nationwide.
You're welcome.
You're welcome, sir.
Yes,
Good.
Yes.
Dr. Daly, I have a question from the YouTube channel.
Yes.
Loyal Chemist is asking, are there any liver spot remedies that you can suggest?
Yes. So for liver spot, you want neem. Neem is my go-to for liver spots because it has that antifungal effect and all the other antimicrobial effects. So with your neem, it's very good. You can either use a neem oil, apply to the area, and drink some of the neem tea. So that's one way. Try to have a neem bath at least 3 times a week, if not every day. So if it's very bad, try to have neem bath. So get your neem leaves, tamarind leaves, and quaco. Remember quaco bush?
Yes, I remember the quaco bush.
Yes. So quaco bush and your tamarind leaf, add them to some water. And no, we don't have the metal bath pans anymore. Remember those metal bath pans? Wash tubs?
So it's like Cliff's.
Oh, yes.
So like Cliff's time, not mine.
Go
But those are also very medicinal. Those zinc wash tubs. You get the water, put it in the sun, you soak the herbs in it. You have the release of the chemicals, the medicinal compounds, and the zinc also adds to the therapeutic properties. But you can still have it in your regular bath and just scrub the skin, wash the skin, and then you can add the neem oils and drink the tea because you want to get rid of it out of the blood as well. And that's where the antifungal medications usually come in with your liver spots.
Okay. Richie, good evening.
Yes, Daddy.
Dr. Dennis Daly
is
listening.
Daily. I'm listening.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. I'm listening to you. You're talking about the dogwood plant. It is one of, I don't know if there's another plant on earth which is good for pain as much as that. Extremely good. It's a plant that I use that tree. The bark of it is very good.
Yes.
But for Ludlow, we're talking about diarrhea. Generally, see a person have diarrhea, that might eat something which is not suitable for the system.
Yeah.
So they cause it causes diarrhea, and sometimes it even causes vomiting as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's best to stop it before it gets worse, because if the vomiting can be there and the problem will break down the immune system.
Mm-hmm.
So the doctor talk about the ginger, yes, especially turmeric. But the best thing I recommend is the charcoal. Activated charcoal. Extremely good for that. Poison, anything like that, activated charcoal.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a doctor. Dr. Dennis Daly. Talk to me and advise the listeners.
She mentioned about the ginger. I said, yes, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Especially turmeric.
Yes, but the one you just called a while ago.
The activated charcoal.
Yes, that is recommended.
The activated charcoal. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What's your view on that, Doc?
Activated charcoal is very good too for diarrhea, for constipation, and any ailments that's causing vomiting and diarrhea. So we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. It's actually your carbon or your fiber that's even more activated due to the processing. When you burn it and you add your calcium, your lime juice. So it's good for constipation, it's good for stomach ailments, good for poisoning. So it should be one of those one of those remedies in our kitchen. So it's very good as a tablet, or you just get a few of the powder, a teaspoon of the powder in water, and you drink that, and it helps.
Yes, Doc. That is.
Yes, sir.
This year is my 40th year studying bush and herbs.
Nice.
My 40th year. I'm very advanced in this.
Where you studied?
Where I studied there?
Yeah.
Bush.
Nature.
You're going to the bush?
I know when I go in the bush. I live in the bush.
This
for me, it's like for you people who love to travel overseas. It's not my lifestyle. I love to travel Jamaica, which anyway, if you walk with me on the street, you'll be wondering why I keep looking about the place. I'll just keep walking and looking at the bush. That is in my DNA.
That's good.
Yeah?
That's good.
Yeah, man. I am not a person of the concrete jungle.
Yes.
All right?
All right,
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Let's take a break and come back with more of Nature's Remedies from Dr. Denise Daly. The numbers to call us, 876-630-93-7124 or 876-618-8255. Call us.
Fast and never fever grass. Hey, Spirulina we blending, so you know I'll be spending every dollar out on me bill fold. Hey, a buckle of the green.
You want to play all your favorite Supreme Ventures games like Cashpot and Lotto in a one place? Plus bet on sports with Just Bet and horse racing with MBet? Come take a step in at the new SV Games app. All of the games you love in a one place. Step in and play all your numbers. Bet on all your sports and get enough chances to win in the only gaming app you need. SV Games from Supreme Ventures. Visit supremegames.com to download the SV Games app. More ways to bet, more ways to win at your fingertips. Must be 18 years or older to play.
The usual story is told. Mothers wash the clothes. The bloody element is a secret. The wrongs are always denied. The girlfriends and mothers of their children defend their honor and double down to deflect their deeds. Even some who sit in church regularly keep praying for their sons and nephews to change their wicked ways while accepting the spoils of their crimes and murderous ways. It is an uncomfortable reality, but should we avoid talking about it? Join me, Rodney Campbell, every Tuesday from 9 to 10:30 p.m. for Affairs of the Heart, right here on Nationwide 90 FM. This Tuesday's topic, the role women play in creating and covering criminals.
Up here, juvenile, run downtown, run downtown, run downtown.
Affairs of the Heart is brought to you by Supermed Pharmacy. Super happy, super healthy, Supermed.
7 months on from one of the closest local government elections in the country's history, how does the voting public view Andrew Olness, Mark Golding, JLP, or PNP? We send the data scientists from Blue Dot Insights into the field to canvass the views of the public, and the results are in! Tune into Nationwide 90 FM and all our social media platforms from Monday, September 23 to Friday, September 27, as we reveal how the voting public feels about the Prime Minister and Opposition Leader, plus the parties they lead. This is the best advertising opportunity anywhere on radio over this period, so do contact our sales department at 876-630-1210. It's the Nationwide Blue Dot Polls. I would say the lead.
Dr. Denise Daly is a former program director for the College of Health Sciences at the University of Technology. She does seminars on corporate wellness and team building strategies and health and wellness in the workplace. She also offers lifestyle and wellness coaching and offers personalized wellness packages. Dr. Daly is also the co-owner and founder of Nasare R&M Company Limited. All natural skincare products are available for customers. They also do private labeling and customized skincare packages. She can be contacted by email at drdenisedaily@gmail.com for bookings and consultations. She can also be found on Instagram and Facebook at Dr. Denise Daly.
Good God have mercy, hey. Good God have grace, hey. Lord have mercy, hey.
Welcome back to Nature's Remedies as we discuss this week the castor bean and the Jamaican dogwood plant. As they said, we're taking your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. And we do have, Doc, more question to you, Boogs, from Cindy Lynch. She's asking you to put up the picture of the dogwood again so she can identify it. And we have another call, another question asking for said if a friend of mine was diagnosed with lupus and they're asking if there are any suggestions of a natural remedy to assist with that diagnosis.
Mm-hmm. For lupus, we'd want to talk directly because it's autoimmune, it has different levels, so we'd have to look at that. In terms of adaptogenic herbs that you can add as a part of your nutrition plan would be like your noni, your moringa. So have some noni juice, your soursop juice, soursop leaf, and your moringa leaf. So those are some of the regular herbs. Turmeric, ginger, with a little black pepper. Add those as a part of your smoothies and a part of your drink. And always, if you're on medication, the span should be at least hours. But we can talk more directly for a wellness plan.
So you hear that, Cindy Lynch? You'll have your numbers out for them at the end of this, correct, Doc?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So email drdenisedaily@gmail.com. And yes, we can further go into herbal and nutrition wellness plan.
And we also have another question from Errol Lindo. He's asking, what would be a good remedy for neuropathy in the feet?
Okay. That's where your soursop comes in and the same dogwood. Remember we have mentioned dogwood is very good with the nerves. It's a nervine, so it helps with that as well. So massaging the feet with it is very good. If you want to do a foot soak, get your Epsom salt, create that dogwood herbal tea, add it to the water and allow it to relax in the water, so to speak. And then when you take it out for 20 minutes, 30 minutes thereabout, then you massage it with your oils. Internally, you can have the tea and your adaptogenic herbs that help with inflammation as well. Your turmeric, your moringa, and even the dogwood tea.
Mm-hmm. All right. 14 minutes going up to 8 o'clock. We have pharmacognosist Dr. Denise Daly on the line. Yes. And we're taking your calls for Dr. Daly. 876-630-937124, 876-618-8255.
Yeah.
So, Doc, tell me, and this is specific to me, castor, you mentioned mixture earlier in terms of castor bean oil with cannabis for pain relief. I not to feed into this annoyance, but would you recommend, because I brought this up before, would you recommend that same mixture, the I think it's proper term is CNB oil? That is what it's called? Cannabis oil or something to that effect?
Not sure. Which oil?
The cannabis oil.
No, not sure which oil that is. But for the cannabis oil, you have different brands and different way of extracting it. So if you want to make it at home, you can just get your coconut oil and soak your cannabis in it.
Okay. So would you recommend mixing that now with the castor oil for additional pain relief, or should you keep them separate and not use them together?
You mix them.
Okay.
So if you have the herbs, get all the raw ingredients of the herbs, put them in a pot or a glass jar, add your oils, and if let's say you want to leave it for a week for it to seep and the color of the oil to change, you shake it every now and then that's your pain massage remedy. You can also buy the extracted oils. So you could buy your cannabis oil, buy your dogwood oil, and add it to castor oil, and you have a smaller container of your massage remedy oil. So either one, it pulls out the medicinal properties of plants.
So Rose Chin gave me the proper term. It's CBD oil. CBD oil.
CBD.
Yes.
Yes. So CBD is one of the active set of compounds in the cannabis. You can use the entire plant though to get the pain portion. There's some of the THC, some of the CBD in that particular ratio also helps with pain management.
Cannabinoid. So, Doc, have a question here for you. Which of your own skincare products is good for acne?
The turmeric flaxseed soap, it's very good for acne. We also have goat milk soaps that's made with your oatmeal, like oats and honey. That's very good for acne as well. We have an activated charcoal herbal soap, very good for acne. For the turmeric flaxseed, that's one of the best sellers because of the turmeric flaxseed properties that it adds to the skin. So if you have that redness, it helps to clear it up. In a week, you start seeing changes to the skin. And you can apply the herbal oil.
I understand we have a caller. Del, you're on the line. Good evening.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, Del.
Good evening, Del. Yes, good evening, Doc. How are you? Yes, ma'am. I'm asking advice from my friend. She's been bothered with menopause. So she's asking if you have anything would recommend to her.
Menopause.
Yes, ma'am. Heat. And bad feeling and so on.
Are you hearing her well, Doc?
I'm hearing some part. I hear advice for her friend who has menopause. She's going through that period. Yeah. I would say try to get some of the dog blood. Dog blood is I know we're talking about two different herbs, but both are good for female reproductive health. And sarsaparilla. So we call sarsaparilla often with the men's reproductive health, but it's very good for women's reproductive health. You can have it as a tonic or as a tea, and it helps with the hot flashes. Red raspberry leaf or raspberry leaf, if we have that, you can use it to make a tea as well, and these help. But again, some of the food we eat, we can incorporate it in a manner to help with the hot flashes, help with some of the what do you call it, the symptoms that come about with menopause.
Right. You heard that, Del?
Yes, sir. Thanks.
And you know the dogwood, right? You know the plant?
Sir. Yes. That's dogwood and sarsaparilla?
Dogwood, sarsaparilla, and your dog blood, which is Ravinia.
Okay.
And how should they prepare it, Doc?
As a tea or as a tonic. So as a tea, the 1 teaspoon in 1 cup of water, you can have that as a tea. And when you feel it coming on, you have it. If you have a cycle where you have an idea, it comes in the morning or in the afternoon, then you can start having it before it comes in to reduce the overall effects of the symptoms.
Most time at night, doctor. Most time at night, and sometimes morning. And our heart just racing and the pressure go up same time.
So you have to try and keep cool. Try to have the teas before. Having the adaptogen teas that are good for stress when the body goes into a stress mode. That's where your noni and your moringa comes in as well. Your multivitamin. If you have Leaf Alive, that's a good tea to just reduce stress overall in the body.
Okay.
Doc, is sarsaparilla the same thing that they drink as a soft drink in the United States?
Which one?
Sarsaparilla, is that the same thing that they drink in the United States as almost like a soft drink? I think they call it root beer or something to that effect.
It's a part of it. The similar.
Okay.
Yes, it's a part of the blend.
We have another caller for you, Doc. Petal, good evening.
Hey, good evening. Good evening, Mr. Hughes.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening, Petal.
Good evening, Dr. Daly. How you do? Long time. Doc, hello?
Yes. Yes, we're hearing you.
Are you hearing me? Yes. Castor oil.
Mm-hmm.
Well, first, dog wood is the same as dog blood?
No.
Or it's two different things?
Yes.
Two different
Dog
plants.
wood is Pisidia and dog blood is Ravinia.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You have not given us the things that dog blood can do, though.
Yeah, man, we spoke about dog blood when we spoke about women reproductive health a couple weeks ago.
Okay. I promise.
Yeah.
Let me see. Castor oil.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed a lot of my friends have been introducing castor oil for pain.
Mm-hmm.
It can be used for pain?
Yes, man. You can add it externally. You can soak a cloth in castor oil, apply it to the area that's having pain or wrap it, and then you get a warm bag or warm cloth to put around it as well. And it helps to penetrate into the skin and reduce the pain as
Tell
well.
me something. Does it really, somebody said to me that it can even help with the breast.
With the?
The breast. With the breast.
The castor oil?
Yes.
In what way?
To massage and to rub if it's hurting.
Oh, the breast.
Yes.
I heard breath.
The breast.
Something mouthwash effect, like, the
No.
oil pulling. Okay. Yes. Castor oil, when it penetrates the skin, it's good for lumps. It breaks up lumps and any aggregation in the body. So that's one of the research shown, reducing the size of aggregation, whether it's tumors or cysts or cancer, etc. So massaging the breast with it helps to reduce any lumps and has shown beneficial properties of the castor oil.
Okay. So,
and even for the back, for kidney stones and so on. Mm-hmm.
I missed that, Doc. I can't know the time going. What did you just say?
Which one? And also for the back, if you massage the back area for the kidney stones.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, because you have the dark color ones, you have light color ones, which one would you suggest is the better one to use for things like that?
All right, so that's what we were mentioning earlier. The light color one is the fresh beans that you press, just regular castor oil. The dark color one is the Jamaican black castor oil because we roast the seed and then we press it. That one has less of your fatty acid, but it has more minerals that will also penetrate the skin and help with the properties. More minerals, more medicinal properties from your black castor oil. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that would be the better one then. Because that would be one of them that I know that they say you can't use it in your hair either because it's not good for your hair. Why would they say that?
Which one? Both good for the hair.
All of them good for the hair?
Both good for the hair, yeah.
Okay.
It's packed with your fatty acids and, medicinal oils. You're welcome.
Yeah. Cliff, long time in a cut, me can't call you Cliff. Too much things are going in upon the season now.
I understand, Peter.
But I'm listening.
Good,
Thank you, Doc. Great job.
Good.
Good evening, Crystal. Petal, have a good evening.
All right, so Doc, that's where we have to leave it. We're out of time. Thank you very much, pharmacognosist Dr. Denise Daly. Yes, and tell them again, Dr. Daly, how they can reach you.
Sure, at drdenisedaily@gmail.com. So that's DRDENISEDALEY @gmail.com. Send me an email. I'm also on Instagram at Dr. Denise Daly and Facebook at Dr. Denise Daly.
All right, make contact with Dr. Denise Daly for all your nature's remedies. Thank you so much to our producer, Dana Davey, our technical operator, Andrew Anderson, our callers, our YouTubers, our WhatsAppers, and our tweets. Thank you so much to Ricardo Brooks. Yes, couldn't cope, can't manage. Thank you so much, Siobhan.
At least he made it through the day.
He did?
Yes.
Thanks to the members of the news and production team led by Kimon Thompson. Thank you. Yes. Good. Have a good night.